Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
You know, coming into this episode, I thought to myself, maybe they'll overdo what I think they're going to be able to do. And because going into last weekend, I was very skeptical on how things were going to play out. And I wanted to come on here this week, and I wanted to be able to be Mr. Positive. I wanted to say that that show was better than what I expected it to be. Unfortunately, I have to come to you and say it was as bad as I expected, maybe even worse at some points. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning. You're listening to PWW Talks, now on Facebook, on the Pro Wrestling World Talks page. We will now be doing, on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page, we will now be doing previews and reviews live on our, not live, but more or less uploaded onto our Facebook page. So it'll be now I feel like we're syndicated now. We're just getting more affiliates. It's like we have Audacity, we have Apple, we have Spotify, we have all these other outlets. And now and of course YouTube under Diamond Podcasting Productions. But now also we'll be on Facebook for previews and reviews of pay-per-views for WWE at least, because this is in 2013, people. I'm not spending $50 a month for AEW pay-per-views. It's not going to happen. Like, if they want to get on Max, and they want to start not charging pay-per-view money on Max, then we could talk. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case right now. But as always, I am joined by my co-host Mac and my best friend of over 20 years. And I believe he was just as disappointed in the show as last weekend as I was. We were actually supposed to get together, but I was feeling under the weather, which is funny because I ended up getting a stomach virus Thursday, which is usually our recording days. And then Thursday, I was on death's door, so to speak. It was, and still kind of feeling the effects of that today, to be quite honest. But maybe it's because of the fact that I had to ingest the 41st annual WrestleMania put on by WWE last weekend that took place in Las Vegas. And not only the fact that the event took place, but the creative fallout and backlash that has seemed to have encapsulate what many people, including myself, have thought since WrestleMania 37 or even 38, 39, and 40 have been three excellent shows, but 37 I also thought was very good. This, however, I felt like was bookmarked. The first match of the show on Saturday, I hated the finish. And the last match on Sunday, I hated the finish. So it really was a bookend show of, there were some great pieces in there in the middle, but the bookend is what you kind of remember, folks. You remember the covers sometimes, especially when you're talking about a comic book. The iconography of some of these comic books out there. You go cover to cover and things of that nature. And this was a show that was like, yes, there were some great things in between. There were some very good things in between. There was one match that Meltzer ended up giving a rating that I was like, I wouldn't have given it that low, which was surprising. But I felt like his main event rating was accurate. The match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. It has not been a good week for The Rock. It has not been a good week for Triple H. It has not been a good week for anybody that's in WWE's management. Because people have given them a lot of good faith. And to be quite honest, they have hit home run after home run after home run. But we could tell coming into the show that there was a lag, a significant lag. And some could say it's because of The Rock. even though Dave Meltzer had reported back in October that The Rock had made it clear to WWE that he was not going to be available for WrestleMania. And a lot of us, including myself, had laughed Meltzer off. But it turns out that was the case. The Rock was not available for WrestleMania last year. We did not get for this year. We did not get The Rock. We did not get him involving into the storyline of John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And then his explanation this past week on Pat McAfee's show. I don't know who had a worse week public relations wise, The Rock or Shannon Sharp.
Ooh, right?
Don't know who did. I think it's probably Shannon Sharp because he's dealing with a lot more heavier issues in Club Shay Shay. So, but The Rock, I was waiting all week to use that Shannon Sharp reference too. I'm like, oh, like I wrote that. I'm like, that's going to be a good reference.
I mean, what the fuck is that?
But I've now had 5 days to really digest all of this. And I've heard a lot of pundits, Busted Open Radio, JD from New York, Meltzer. And the consensus is that this show was one of the worst in at least 5 years. And it is a show, too, that you can... It is a show and a finish that you can look at and say, this is a show that could chase away your audience. This is a show that... And I know in their sense of thinking, well, his whole mission is to ruin wrestling for everybody. Why in God's green earth is that going to be your platform on the biggest show of the year? And that is the reasoning why the main event was lackluster?
If I may for a moment, because you brought up that he's going to ruin wrestling. This is the second time that John Cena has ruined wrestling for me.
I know, right? And supposedly this is the last year. Like, this is the last time we have to deal with this. Which, and it's not even... Because I knew going in what the chances were. If it was a banger match and the match was fantastic, I would have said, you know what? Give it to him. If it was John Cena and AJ Styles... like
listen,
from 2016, 2017, if it was that level of intensity, then I could sit here and I could swallow it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean now. Yeah, I agree.
And Travis Scott coming out.
2-minute intro in the middle of a match.
It's like, God damn, like, I get it because it's a viral moment because the guy comes out, which I get it. I understand that part of it. But you're talking about the most important match of the year. Sunday night, night 2 of WrestleMania, the last match on the card.
Yep. The
way that this has been built up, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, of how this is the be-all, end-all spot as far as WWE is concerned. And it was a train wreck. Bell to bell, it was a train wreck. John Cena is washed. He can't go anymore. He doesn't have the... because the match, I think, only went like 22 minutes, something like that.
21:40, according to...
21:40. So, which the last 2 matches with Rhodes and Reigns, I believe were clocking in at like 35, 40 minutes apiece.
I'd have to go back and look, but I'm sure you're right.
And especially last year's main event, which, yes, you can, and I could argue, because I've always said that match may have been a little overbooked to my liking, but at the same time, it was a masterpiece because of the way that it put pieces together. The only thing I would have changed is Austin instead of Taker, but whatever. I think after this year, they're kind of like, I don't know if we're going to have Steve come out that much.
Yeah, probably not. No more ATVs for you, Steve.
No more ATVs for you, Steve. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and it was just like the typical disaster. Like, it's like, how could this show get any worse? Oh, Jesus.
So since we're already jumping into Steve Austin, like, I personally, anyways, felt that his crashing into that barricade, and I think you kind of alluded to this too in your statement, just it describes the entire weekend for me.
It does. It does. It just, from the night before, when you're having your audience on the East Coast stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning for a Hall of Fame induction, and then you have your
Poor
audience
Booker
on the
T,
East Coast.
man.
Oh, that poor guy. Because then he had a 5 a.m. call time
Well, we don't
on the
know if
West
that,
Coast.
We know that applies to the talent. We don't know if that applies to the announcers. If it does, then yeah, he's got a very short nap mixed in there, so to speak.
So you're getting out of this thing, and then, so it's a 4 a.m. wake up call for that. And then you're starting at 1 p.m. with Stand and Deliver. And then you got night one, of course, with the preview show, which is 3 hours fucking long, which I, like most people, I think probably skip that. Because nothing really of substance happens on those. It's just the same highlight packages you're going to see in between matches.
What's this, the
And-
pre-show, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch any of the pre-shows.
It's like they have to have these 2 to 3 hour pre-shows and they're just replaying the same vignettes they're going to show right before the matches anyways. And it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, maybe we'll get you an insightful interview with they're coming into the building. Rhea Ripley has arrived at the arena.
Yeah,
okay.
that's stuff where they do some cool interviews at times, but that's where I just go back and watch it. Because you're 100% right. Like, if I want to catch the interview, yeah, I'm doing it after the fact, but at the same token, like you're saying, I'm going to sit through a couple commercials, a couple vignettes. Oh, okay, like you said, Rhea Ripley's coming in, so I'll see that. Like, it's too much. It's just, like, 3 hours straight up too much.
It's
By then,
I
I'm just
understand.
exhausted. I don't even want to watch the show anymore anyway.
Like, I understand their logic. I understand it completely.
I do.
Like, I understand it. You want to try to make it like the Super Bowl. I know UFC does the same thing and things like that. But, the NFL
All
has
you need to do is vignettes. Just keep it to 90 minutes.
Exactly. I agree. And then, because it's like you're just showing the same video again before each matchup,
Exactly.
which I had to admit, this year I felt like if I had to win the best kind of music video type vignette they did, I actually liked the one they did for Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte with Lady Gaga. I thought that was a damn good one.
I do have to admit, though, I did like having Killswitch engage for the CM Punk one.
That was sick too.
Because of
like
his old theme when he first came over.
Yes.
Like, that for me was pretty telling, I felt like, to have that music for that vignette. But the Tiffany and Charlotte one was definitely a good one, too. I agree.
So let's I guess we could start from the top to the bottom. Of course, we'll go more in depth about the main event. Of course, we've alluded to it too, just because of the fact of the backlash that has kind of occurred since last Sunday night. But we will start.
Well, I feel like that'll close the show too. Anyway,
That will close the show. We're going to be able at least to go we're just touching it lightly,
Yeah.
and then of course the ending we can go into kind of about and just say Jesus.
Well, I
But-
mean, we're recording on a Thursday / Friday / whatever this week,
Right.
But I mean, we could also talk about, the Raw following up WrestleMania as well. But
We will bring that up when it's more
at the end, yeah.
we will bring that up actually when we talk about the main event to night one, because I feel like that
Okay.
more has a
Yeah.
telling to night one, and because we're kind of trying to keep it to the previous show, but also kind of allude to what is happening next. What happened on Raw, because we don't want to make it like completely in depth. Only because of the fact that, yeah, there was some great things that happened on Raw, but of course there was some things that were just like, huh?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we're going to go with it. So we're going to start off, and we're going to talk about the match. I think the first one on Saturday, And right off the bat, they're doing something questionable. They're doing something that I was like, I do not like this at all. We went in here last week and the last couple of weeks, and we've said Jey Uso has not done enough to win the World Heavyweight Championship, in my opinion. And so not only does Jey Uso win the World Heavyweight Championship, he wins by tap out.
A very quick tap out, I felt like.
Which seems to be his Walter's kind of Achilles heel, because if we go back to the Dragunov match when he lost the NXT UK Championship, very similar circumstances.
Who's that?
Dragunov.
You said Walter, though.
No, I might have. I don't remember.
No,
but
you did.
Okay.
I mean, he was
But
Walter,
he was Walter at the time,
I know,
yes.
I know.
So, like, technically, I'm not wrong. But Gunther losing the World Heavyweight Championship by submission against Jey Uso. That was the first, the first sign to me of just like, oh no. Like, almost from the start, I'm like, and it begins. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was one of those moments I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Just because this is the same guy that we have been questioning his skills, we've been questioning his wrestling ability, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he wins my tap out. What? How? How the hell did this happen? But it did. And Jey Uso, your new World Heavyweight Champion, after 16 minutes and 30 seconds, winning by tap out, which again, they did it on this show, and it's like they almost knew. They're like, they'll be really pissed off tomorrow. They'll forget about this. Except somebody like me I'm like, because it's kind of a toss-up to me. Because the ending to the main event, yeah, that bothered me. But this one, because it's like, I could see Cody will get his win back down the road, right? You know, like, that'll get solved. Where I don't know what's going to happen with Gunther after this.
So hold on. So let's talk a little bit about that in a second. But here's what I'm going to say about the match itself. I thought it was good till the finish.
I agree. I thought it was good till the finish.
Like, I will say that. Has Jey Uso done enough? I mean, yes, no, maybe. It almost feels like how they booked him the last month and a half. It's like, like freaking Sideshow Bob, just hitting the rake every time. Like, you know where this is going. You know he's going to end up winning it, but
actually, I think it's a good description of Triple H's booking lately.
Yeah,
he just keeps eating rake after rake after rake.
Yep, it's kind of what he's done with the booking with Jey Uso since the Rumble. Went into the Rumble red hot, came out hot, and then he's just kind of like fizzled. So I don't really care for it for that reason. I think he's going to be a serviceable world champion. Kind of wonder what's going to happen. As far as Gunther goes, so we'll just briefly touch on his attack on the announcers on the Raw after Mania. And apparently he has been fined, and I don't know if he's been suspended, but it would
indefinitely suspended.
Yeah.
He's indefinitely suspended.
I think they build up the suspense, and then he's going to come back and just murder somebody.
Or he's a part of the new Heyman, the new Dangerous Alliance.
I don't think so, but
probably not.
But that would be cool. Not for nothing, that would be cool. But I think it just makes sense. Get him out for a couple weeks. Everybody kind of starts to forget him, and then bam, you bring him back, and he just murders somebody. Just straight up murder somebody. I think that's what you have to do.
Corey Graves on Twitter, I thought was hilarious. Reacting to it, where he just had a bunch of laughing emojis after McAfee got choked out.
Yep.
Wait for McAfee to carry the kayfabe though, because he's out there hosting his gig for the NFL draft. So
Yeah.
no injuries or anything like that. He's just like, hey,
Yeah, I only got choked out. No big deal.
I'll be fine. So, Mike, what do you think the Packers are going to do in the first round? Like, it's just,
Yeah, I know.
you had Mike McCarthy on there. I'm just like, oh, of course, he's got to go. He's just continuing the tradition of the fired coaches that have had success on his panel every year. Last year, he had Belichick. This year, he had Mike McCarthy. So, yeah, a very questionable finish. And right out the gate, you're doing something very polarizing. And
Yep.
it's like, oh boy. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, it can only go up from here. And yeah, there were some parts that it did go up from here. Then there were some parts that just, nope, this sucks.
So let's just keep going then. So the next match is the New Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championship.
Yes.
I
and
didn't hate this, but
Didn't
you know
hate
what the
it.
problem was? It came after a shit finish to the match before it.
it came back for it. It came after a shit finish. And on top of that, too, it's just, they were, I think they kind of knew they were in a dust spot just because of the fact they knew that the reaction for Jay was going to be so big. Whether,
I'll give you that. And
so-
the rest of the card, too, not for nothing, is just a lot better. I'm sorry than the two
And this-
the War Raiders.
and this match, this match we both said, this could be on Monday Night Raw. And
Well, we did say that, but we also put in the caveat that if they moved it, there needed to be something with Big E at either during or after this match.
yes, and that never
And hey,
happened.
guess what? Nothing.
Never happened.
Nothing.
And nothing happened. And it's just like that, because that's still that carrot, that caveat that you keep thinking of, just like that. There's that arc, right? Like he doesn't think he's going to get cleared, and then he gets cleared, and then he goes in and cleans house. Where it's all
Or
in
he
all
doesn't
possible.
get cleared and he doesn't bump, but maybe he bumps on them. Like, dude, like they could have done anything in this.
They
Literally
could've.
anything. Or they could have come out, they could have brought him out and he claps for them and they clown on him again. Like literally there's so many ways you could have taken this. There should, if you're gonna move this from television to fucking WrestleMania, there should have been.
You got to
something
make
more
it
to
something
this.
special.
Yep, and it just, I'm sorry, it fucking was not special at all.
No, it wasn't. It had no bearing. Like, okay, yeah, it checks off another thing for the New Day because they really haven't had great win-loss records at WrestleMania. So, giving them a championship win, okay, great for their legacy.
Well, I mean,
So
now
I
they're
get that.
heels too, so I mean, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I
I just felt like it should have been, to be quite honest, this the WrestleMania this year kind of had like a Metallica load and reload type feeling to me of like, because we both argued, well, there's some things I like about load and then there's some things I like about reload, but then there's shit I don't like on either one. So why don't they just make one album and just call it load? And it's like, this is kind of how I feel of, this could have been a one night show. This could have been. You could have made it. But of course, that whole, well, you can't charge people. You're not going to be able to get, well, we could get two seats for 25 grand.
Let's talk about that real fast.
Yeah.
That attendance was bullshit, by the way.
You're subscribing to the Dave Meltzer mentality?
I'm subscribing to the fact that there were definitely empty seats, and I had a really hard time believing there were 60,000 people in those.
There was that girl on, oh, why are you lying, WWE? Why are you, it's like, why are you there at the show then? If you're going to complain about the attendance to a show, then why are you going on TikTok and being like, yo, WWE is lying bitches? It's like, no.
So speaking of that, just I want to get this out of the way now. I completely forgot till you reminded me. If you are a fan in the stands and Jey Uso is in front of you, please do not stand behind him screaming.
No,
The world will hate you.
no, that was bad.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
just
it
like,
was.
oh my god,
It's like, where's security? She needs to get out of
oh my
frame.
god. I was, the one thing that their show needed was a Tom Brady cameo, because then it would have definitely like uprated. Like, because he ended up getting a mention from McAfee, and I was just like, oh my god, I hope he makes an appearance. That'd be sweet. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't do a lot of things, honestly. It was fucking Vegas.
yeah, I did like the Penn and Teller stuff they did on NXT,
Yeah, but that was NXT. It was like, they could have.
but
I just felt like they could have done a lot more to really lean into, being in fucking Vegas.
I thought the set was fantastic.
It was. I remember clowning on it at first, and then you kind of realized during the show, oh shit, that entire set is like a Titantron, basically.
It's an entire Titan. Well, too, it made it look like one of the old facades of a hotel
Yeah.
in Vegas. I think it was the Rio.
Yep.
And so it had that look to it, where that's the thing about some of these WrestleManias. Yeah, some of them have great sets and great shows, like WrestleMania X7, great set, great show. X8, pretty good set, good set, good show. X9, same thing. Like, a lot of times the sets can be really, really good, and then the show is just mediocre. And
Well,
this is
the other thing I thought that was cool was that they had the seats in the set too.
that was really cool.
That was pretty sick.
That actually would probably be my favorite seats to probably go in, other than like the first row,
Right.
because that just it almost I don't know if you've because with the new video game, I know you don't got it, but you can change camera view now where it's like third person, where you're over the person's like
The intro, yeah, I've seen it. I've
you can
played
just go over their shoulder.
Yep.
So it's like, and change the camera direction while they're with the entrances now. And but they've been able to do that now television wise, because you look at some of these entrances, I mean, especially Romans, which we'll talk about, but at the same time, it was like, as far as technology goes with the way that they do some of these sets, it's incredible. I think to produce it, Alvarez was talking about, it's in the range to produce WrestleMania. It cost the company close to $35 million. I believe it was like 30 to 33. It was between 33 and 34 million that it cost the company
I believe it.
to produce it. Which is, it's one thing about them. If you give them $10, they're going to put at least $8 back into the product.
Yeah.
They're that type of company that has always gone the extra mile when they've had to. I feel like that this there was just a lot of things about the show that this next match, though, between Jade and Naomi, I have to admit I was pleasantly surprised that this was a solid match. It wasn't like a masterpiece, but at the same time, it was it wasn't the worst match of both nights.
It did its job.
It did its job. And to give Jade a one-on-one match, you kind of, because she really hasn't had money at this kind of upper level, and she's got a lot more seasoning. Yes, you put her up against Naomi, which at that point, okay, things will be fine because it's Naomi.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
which I think from that perspective, everybody was just like, okay, we'll be fine. But yeah, it was a good match. I didn't hate it. I thought there were some really cool spots. I thought she did a better. I think Jade Cargill, to be quite honest, is a better jackhammer than Goldberg. Like,
I mean, the way she caught her, just holy shit.
I'm just like, whoa. She is. Every time I see her, she's improved. That's one thing I can say about, and I've said that. I said, once she's in WWE, every time you see her, she's going to get better. That's exactly what's happened. She has improved every single time. She's a singles match in WrestleMania. Mind you, the first singles match between women that was not a gimmick match or not a championship match. First one-on-one match of any kind for women with no gimmicks or no titles on the line, which is historic. Also took 41 editions for that to happen. It's kind of like, like, it's kind of, I mean, really? Like, you didn't have faith before, and like, you've had a lot of great women on your roster. You didn't have faith for them to have one-on-one matches at Mania? Whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a good match, good spots in it, and I'm not really going to kind of complain either way, like, because there really wasn't anything negative about it, and there really wasn't anything greatly positive. Like, it's just,
Oh, I mean, like I said, the way she caught her and put her up for the jackhammer, I thought was huge.
that was sick.
But I
yeah,
mean,
but
other than
it,
that, it's like that was
that was
the
it.
spot. Really.
that was the only spot. It was just like, holy God.
Yeah.
But everything else was just kind of like, yeah, cookie cutter. This is what I expected.
Well, like I said, it did its job.
Yes.
That they needed it to do its job, and that's exactly what they got. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say there, so we can go to the next match, which was for the WWE United States Championship, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu.
This was damn good.
Yeah.
This was damn good.
For a 10-minute match, they squeezed everything out of it.
They really squeezed everything out of it, and then too, I think it gave it was able to give LA Knight now kind of like, okay, I'm just as good as, because there's always that knock with LA Knight of just like, oh, he's a gimmick, but he's not that good of an ring. It's like, no, that was a damn good match. Like, he's been able to pull up now and be like, okay, I'm just as solid as a worker as a lot of these other guys in the company.
The way he hits certain moves, like, it just looks so good. Like, obviously, you're going to say the same about Jacob Fatu, which, yeah, 100%. But the way Knight not only does the moves that he does, but also sells the moves, too. Like, he's good.
Great seller, but that BFT from like that was brilliant.
The way
Like,
he hits a back neck
brilliant.
breaker too, man. I don't know what it is. It looks so good to me.
Yeah, I know. Like, he's
got
able,
a really good neck breaker.
He's got a great neck breaker, and he just has this finesse to it that you don't see, and it just makes it like, he makes it look so good. And he's just effortless in the ring sometimes. Like, the way he does that.
That's it, yeah.
The way he does that superplex where he jumps up and then, like, he just does things where you're like, all right, like, everybody, the knock on him of just like, well, he's not that good of a ring worker. It's like, bullshit. Like, this guy, and he proved it this time. I think he pretty much was on this show.
He's proved it
telling
before to
everybody.
me.
He has.
The problem is, it's like, they book him weird. They book him to appear almost every week, but I think he wrestles like once or twice a month, really, on TV.
Yes.
No,
that's true. I mean, they do that, but it's like, at the same time, at least he's been able to be in like a high position still with the company. It's like, because we were all thinking a couple of years ago, yeah, I don't know, like, because the way that they book him, like, we all sit there and we're all just like, I don't know. Like, because they're gonna fuck him up somehow, but they haven't. Like, they able to keep they've maintained his momentum, so to speak.
okay. I was gonna say,
And
they almost did screw him when he first came up.
yes, but that was under Vince.
Fair.
That Vince just did not see what I think everybody else saw, and including myself. That was just like, just give this guy the moon. Like, why are we not?
Let's make him Max Dupree.
Yeah, let's just we'll make him a male model. He's going to manage 2 guys. It'll never be over.
It cracks me up, man, because it's like you see so many of those other guys in the past, like Roman, like Seth, obviously others like Sammy and KO as well, and others obviously that have come up from NXT and just completely kept the gimmick they had. And meanwhile, it's just like LA Knight. No, we're gonna make you Max Dupree. Like, what the fuck, man?
God, Meltzer gave it 3.25 stars.
For this
Which,
match, that
yes, for this
surprises me a
match.
little bit.
But I think he also saw what we saw in the fact of that it was a lot better. Because this was definitely a match and it was just like, well, because again, you sit there on paper and you're just like, where's this going to go? But I think, but this.
Well, so hold on.
Yeah.
That's one thing we didn't actually talk about. Where is this going to go? Didn't really see Solo out there.
No, that's true. God, I guess he hasn't performed. He hasn't had a match since January.
Who's that, Solo?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he's back though. Is my thing. He's there.
Yes.
So why not have him come out and start some kind of a feud with either LA Knight? Obviously, that could be one route, or start a storyline between him and Jacob Fatu. Now that Jacob's going to have the U.S. Championship.
Yes, this is that is. I have a feeling, but the question is who are they going to make babyface, which I think is going to be Jacob Fatu.
It's going to be
It's going to be Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I
already
think
so over at this point.
he's so over, and it's like Solo. People are just not getting behind him, and I've been telling people this for months. Certain people that we know that just loves to keep bringing him up, and I'm just like, you're not getting it,
Man.
and I'm tired of having this conversation.
I don't think he's bad.
I don't think he's great either.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like he's okay.
Like,
he's okay.
Maybe he's more believable than Jey Uso at certain points, but
That's debatable. All right, whatever. Anyways, so Rey Mysterio gets hurt on Friday Night SmackDown.
tore his groin. Oh,
Yeah, you could tell he was messed up too.
I wonder if he wished he did that when he conceived Dominic. I'm just kidding.
Anyways, yeah. Talk about him later. So Rey Mysterio was replaced in this match against El Grande Americano by none other than Rey Fenix, who only debuted like 2-3 weeks ago.
God. Hey, we're booking you on Mania, but you're doing the job. Oh, are you kidding? Really?
Yeah, and yes, he does the job in almost 8 minutes.
I was so like, you've got to be kidding
I was
me.
mad. I straight up was bad. He
just
so
debuted.
mad.
You're paying this guy how much money, and you're having this is a big signing from AEW, and it's like another big signing. You now have, but again, which I guess also we can talk about after this matchup with the news that did come out earlier that night that really is going to have an impact on Rey Fenix and Penta and a lot of some of the other.
We will discuss that.
Yeah.
After this match, because I think this is so important, and I think it's funny that we're talking about that in tandem with this, basically. But I was going into this match. I think the week before, you and I had said he should win, right?
Yes.
El Grande Americano should win against Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
And then they changed it because Rey got hurt to Rey Fenix.
Yes.
And then that's where I'm like, no, he should not win this match.
No.
Don't unmask him, but have Rey Fenix win. Because I feel like you just debuted him like 2-3 weeks ago, like I said. You're going to kill all that momentum with this stupid fucking gimmick for Rey Fenix. If it's Rey Mysterio, that's way different.
But now you can make the argument if he loses. El Grande. If he loses, he can be like, well, that's because I wasn't prepared for Rey Fenix. I was prepared for Rey Mysterio. And that could have been your out. But they didn't go that route.
Exactly.
No goddamn sense. And this was the second time that I kind of questioned the booking a little bit of the evening. I'm just like, okay, this is night 2. This is night 1 already, and 2 things. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
I really don't like these.
Yep. I was literally in the same boat as you. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, these 2 things, like,
Yeah.
and like I said before, the tag team match was good, but I was like mentally kind of like, ugh, from the match before.
Yeah.
Jade Naomi is good. Jacob and LA Knight was good. And then this was like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, this was extremely kind of questionable. The second time tonight that I was just like, are you kidding me right now?
Yep.
And then we went to a match that I thought may have went. I honestly was thinking to myself, I'm like, Charlotte's going to win. Like, they're going to somehow punish Tiffany. And they didn't. I think that that if Charlotte won, they probably would have had a revolt in the women's locker room, which they already found a way to kind of revolt the locker room anyways. We'll talk about that later. Actually, no, we needed to talk about before we get to that match between Charlotte and Tiffany.
Yep.
WWE announced on Saturday night before night 1 of WrestleMania, on the pre-show actually. So I guess people will be like, but you missed this part of it. Well, no, because it was something that was pretty much posted all over social media later anyways, and Cole did talk about it.
Yep.
WWE has purchased the legendary Lucha Libre wrestling promotion AAA in Mexico, which now is going to lead, I am sure, to a lot of talent being exchanged from one place to another. Of course, Penta and Ray Phoenix will probably be at the top of the list. Stephanie Valcure, the Andrade, even though Andrade looked a little concerned that this deal was happening. It's also interesting to note that AAA's world champion as of last weekend was Alberto Pel Patron, the former Alberto Del Rio. And after the acquisition by WWE, Alberto El Patron was promptly released this week because they are out of that business, especially, too, if they want to hire certain people back. If they brought him back, that would probably be a definite no. The only person I think that might appease if they brought him back would be Charlotte. So it's actually a good segue to the Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton championship match. I love how I was able to do that.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, it was good. So we're going to go now to 0 for 3 in marriages. Charlotte up against Tiffany Stratton, which, again, I was coming into this thinking that they were going to revolt the locker room, the women's side, by having Charlotte go over here. They were going to somehow take out, punish Tiffany because of what happened in recent weeks with things kind of falling off the rails, which I think most of the company and creative and people in the know have kind of gone the side of, it really wasn't Tiffany's fault. She was just kind of retaliating. This was more Charlotte's fault of trying to make her look bad on certain points. And I thought that this was going to be, which Tiffany got her tooth chipped in this, so that kind of led into what I had brought up last week of where Charlotte might get a little hard on her, which the chipped tooth and the way that this match also, because I thought this match was a lot better than Meltzer had rated it. Meltzer gave it 1 3/4 stars, so not even 2 stars.
I gave it just like a 3 or a 4.
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was very, very good. Even though I do think Charlotte is kind of washed now. Not
I
fully
think,
washed, but kind of washed.
yeah, no, I understand. So there's two things that really bothered me about this match, and both are because of Charlotte. Charlotte was very clearly calling the plays in this match, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the main event of night two, as well. And there are other people, which I think was Jade and Naomi. They got caught doing this too. They're calling the matches, and it's very obvious. And I got really annoyed by that this match.
I hate that.
Yeah, I absolutely hate it. The other thing that I kind of hated was that there were times where I feel like she was kind of shooting on Tiffany a little bit.
Well,
I will
that
say
was-
this though, but before you jump in, I will say this though about Charlotte. They got 19 minutes. That shocked me. And listen, they hit their stride in the end. I will say that. I think
Yes.
midway through this match, both women hit their stride. But the fact that Charlotte was doing those things just really irritated me. But go ahead, what were you going to say?
that was my fear coming into it. I talked about it last week, how I felt like Charlotte was going to try to expose her or shoot on her a little bit. You know, the chip tooth. Yeah, that could happen by accident, but still, there definitely was some lines crossed,
Yeah.
at least in her mind. I really don't think so, because I think that Tiffany caught on to her, kind of trying to sabotage her, and just said, all right, fuck you then. And, you know, the problem I have is that with all this is the fact that the reason why Tiffany got into the industry was because of Charlotte. She was an influence. And now, so you're wrestling like your role model here, the reason why you got into this industry, and she turned out to be a total asshole. And see, I've gotten better in life because I would have used a much dirtier word a long time ago. But she just acted like a complete idiot, and just acting like Charlotte again because she probably feels threatened, and she probably feels even more threatened now by talent, especially younger talent, because she is starting to realize that her body is not allowing her to do things that she was able to do 5 or 10 years ago. And everybody else is starting to catch up. And I think that this match might, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte is out of the WWE by the end of the year. If she's just done.
I mean, I think she's turning or just turned. I don't remember. I think she just turned 40. Which, listen, at the end of the day, that might not matter. I mean, you look at other talent, especially in the men's division, that are wrestling well into their mid to late 40s at this point. Think about AJ when I say that. And still look good. I just don't think that's her.
No.
And I think that's part of the problem. And listen, you know, wheel her out like Trish Stratus every couple weeks for a few months, and I'll be fine with that. Go part time. I'm kind of done with a full time Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
And I know she just came back. It sucks to gotta say that, but I'm just over it at this point. The next generation of women is there now.
Yeah,
Charlotte, I feel like, is a previous generation, and I think that's where I'm coming from when I say that. But it's also she doesn't look good in the ring anymore. Just saying.
She can't go. She can't do what she did 5 or 10 years ago, and I think she realizes that, which is why she's kind of trying to make everybody look bad. Which she's trying to make people look bad in a promo. It's like you're not even the best promo yourself. So I don't know why you're trying to do that.
I have icers in my DMs.
Yeah, okay. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life.
Exactly.
And I lived through. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. That was a
That
bigger
was more
lie.
believable than this. Yeah.
That was more believable. Like you just think about it now, and the way that he said that, pounding on the podium. I did not have, and you believed him. You're just sitting there. You're like, yeah, fuck it, I believe the guy. And then 7 months later, indeed I did. You fuck. God damn it. But it's kind of, it definitely, I felt like it was kind of a matchup of just like symbolism
Yeah.
of the old guard is finally where this is the transition, and this is Charlotte realizing this girl's 25 years old, in her prime, and is going to be, because I see Tiffany Stratton in wrestling maybe another 3 to 5 years.
I don't know.
She's going to be doing something else. She's going to be. They're going to
No,
give.
I know why you said it. I know 100% why you said it. I don't disagree. I don't know if she will, but
It depends.
I think what you started to kind of say there for a second, though, which I want to touch on too. It's like you're right. It is kind of like passing of the guard a little bit here because it's new versus old. It's the newer talent, and it really solidifies Tiffany's reign now too. Like it puts her in a very strong position coming outside of Mania now. So I'm kind of hopeful of what future stories they can tell there because you're right. Her shelf life, might not might not be long depending on some of the stuff that she might be able to do outside of the ring. But the same goes for a lot of them. I think
It
there are a lot
does.
of them that you could make that statement for at this point.
But
Like Liv Morgan.
That's the thing, though. I look at Liv because Liv is kind of, Liv is really trying to transcend now to just. She's trying to make a transition to the world of just like, all right, like
Yep.
no one's complaining about this at all. But I was happy. This was one of those matches that I was concerned coming in that I was going to be really upset about, but it went the way that I wanted it to go. And hopefully it is the beginning of the wind down for Charlotte as a full-time player. And, who knows if she's even in the company at the end of the year. Like I said, because I just feel like that I don't know if many people are going to want to work with her after this, like willingly. And, because especially the younger
a day-to-day
talent.
match, man, like a day-to-day match on television or whatever. Like, there's no build. Like, I don't think there's anything to worry about there.
That's true.
I think though that to your point of maybe like a long-term program like this was with Tiffany. Yeah, I don't really want to be in a feud with you. like I'm sure that's how they feel. That's how I would feel about it, because I'd be worried that you are going to do or say something that is just going to completely underscore what we're trying to do.
Right.
And honestly, no thank you.
No. It's just like, I would be like, no. No.
Like, I'm good.
No. Fuck this. No, we're not doing this. That doesn't work for me, sister. Like, it's just all that. It's just, no. Like, this whole thing has just proven to me, and I've just, and everybody used to argue with me because I've just never been high on Charlotte. Always. Do I think she's a great talent? Yes. Do I think she's one of the best ever? Yeah. But there are times I've looked at her work and I've just been like, I think she's overrated. Like, I just have always felt like that. And I know people would probably
She
say, well,
is the second worst horsewoman. I'm
True.
sorry. I said what I said.
No, it's true. Because I like Bailey a lot more. I like Becky a lot more.
Yep.
Bailey, I was, and we'll get to that later, but like, I've never felt bad. I have never felt more sympathy for a talent than I did for Bailey this weekend. Like, I felt,
1,000,000%.
I just have never felt, and it's hard for me to have sympathy for talent sometimes because it's like, you're getting paid a lot of money. You're getting paid guarantees. Like, your schedule is a lot less than what it used to be 10 or 15 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. But there's certain things that you, as talent, when you're established and you've established yourself to a certain position, that you are guaranteed, in my opinion, to be on. And Bailey being at WrestleMania should be that thing. And the fact that she wasn't on the card.
Not for nothing.
I'm going to say the same thing about Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that was also annoying. Considering some of the matches that were on the card.
Well, considering
It's
the
like
fact
you
that he's
couldn't-
on the Raw after Mania, too.
I did say too. I'm like, oh, we're gonna see Sammy and Jay if Jay wins the title.
Yeah, they kind of teased it, but they didn't push.
Not yet, because I still feel like that. Yeah, because I'm gonna want somebody to kind of take the belt from Jay. That if Gunther wins it back, or if they have Roman and Gunther, like it's just something. But also, I want to be able to see kind of a Sami Zayn and Jey Uso matchup where Sami Zayn becomes a viable opponent and wins the title. That would be kind of a dream kind of scenario because this is, I feel like, the way that you can get Sami Zayn to become world champion where everybody is just going to be like, yes, we're all behind this. Because if there was still a big segment, yes, there was a massive segment of the audience that wanted to see Sami Zayn beat Roman Reigns. But there was still another small portion that still argued about it. And I feel like that if Sami Zayn were to beat Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, no one would really complain.
No,
And
absolutely not.
this is the way you can have Sammy become champion, and everybody is just like behind it. Even if he's the heel, it's still like you deserve it anyways. And it's just your path to do that. If you want to do that, if you still feel like that, but I feel like Sammy deserves a world title run. But depending on the winner of this contest, because we're going to the main event now, I believe that the winner of this later was going to be getting a future World Heavyweight Championship match. The main event of night one.
Is that what they said?
Yes, I think Roman had confirmed it during Roman had confirmed it during an interview. I forget with which publication. I think it might have been on McAfee or something, one of those ones. This triple threat match went 32 minutes and 55 seconds. 4 3/4 stars by Dave Meltzer. Your main event for night one, Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns and CM Punk, where Paul Heyman decides to turn twice in one night. And has
You know
aligned
what, man?
himself with Seth Rollins.
As soon as he did that to CM Punk, you just knew he was going to do it to Roman too.
Oh, of course, you knew it. You just knew it. You knew it was coming. And that was kind of the direction that it seemed like that this was going to go. This was like one of those obvious ones that it was just like, And because there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk coming into this on social media that this is going to be the direction that they were going to go. And that was the direction that they decided to go. And this, I felt like, was the best possible scenario to do so. This match was a masterclass in triple threat matches. However, it was not the best triple threat match of the weekend. You could make the argument, though, that it was a tie between this and another match we'll be talking about from night two. But
I think in terms of storytelling, this was better.
Yes.
I think in terms of maybe overall, I think the other one might be better. But it's
Athleticism.
close.
Yeah, it's very close. Both matches, I feel like, and again, Meltzer gave this 4 3/4 stars, so he even gave it its props. This is going to be one I think people are going to go look back on, and they're just going to be like, yeah, this should have closed night 2, and it should have been for a championship. Like,
It's easy to say that in hindsight, though, I feel like.
I feel like that if this closed night 2, and if it was for a championship, everybody on the planet would not be complaining about this. They would be like, that is one of the best finishes to Mania in a very long time.
You're not wrong.
And that was the decision that they decided to go with. They decided to go with the match that everybody had wanted to see on paper, that everybody's just like, this match is going to be fantastic. It sucked, but this if this was the main event for night 2, everybody would have been happy. No one would have left unhappy. No one would have felt like they got ripped off for dropping $35,000 on fucking tickets to see a shit show for night 2. If they walked away with this, they would have thought that this is, and I kind of felt like that this match was going to be one of the high points of the weekend. On paper, it was, which is why I was so kind of adamant that a championship needed to be on the line for this matchup. And the fact that it wasn't, I think, hurts its overall status. And I think it hurts the overall status of the show. Because if this was for a championship and you closed this on night 2, this would have been regarded as one of the best WrestleManias in a long time. It's just about the placement of it.
I don't know about that, but it definitely would have been a much better.
It would have been more in the middle of the pack instead of all right. So it would have been in like the mid-20s or the mid-30s, or it would have been in the mid-20s, but it wouldn't have been probably in like the lower quarter of the show's history.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would say it's right in the middle of the pack, honestly. I just, listen, like this, like you said, this match is a masterpiece for what it is, for its storytelling, for Heyman's double turn, which, again, just as an educated wrestling fan, you kind of have to see that was going to happen. And then you go into the Raw after Mania, and it seems like they're going to do a Deadly Alliance. And it's just like, yes. Yes.
Braun Breaker came out and is now a part of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman's new, it seems to be a dangerous alliance in WWE now, and now it's like the stars are aligning that they'll have a female member as well. We'll talk about that later on.
Yep.
But that seems to be the direction they're going. So they're taking one of the all-time best currently, and they're taking one of the real strong up-and-comers, and they're putting him with Paul Heyman, which is genius. Again, it's like, this is exactly who you want to put him with, because now everybody is definitely going to take notice. And how they handled Braun this weekend was fantastic as well. And we'll get to that later on. But it's just, they put Braun Breaker now in a top position, and they put him now with one of the top guys who won one of the most highly regarded main events in the history of WrestleMania. And you put him with one of the best agent/managers in the history of the company. So the sky's the limit now for both these guys. And this really puts Seth automatically into an upper echelon as far as stealing the hopes and dreams of people at WrestleMania. It just seems to be his new thing. Like, he's like, I fucked you over twice, Roman, in the last decade at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 41. He had a hand in it last year at WrestleMania 40. It's like the song that never ends between both those guys. it's just going to keep going on and on and on forever. And now with CM Punk involved, it's going to be because now CM Punk and Roman Reigns have to team up and face Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. So now it's like you have that combustible element. So,
I mean, listen, they did this with Roman and Cody last year, and they had them team up, and that put out a really good vignette for that. So maybe they could do a couple of those and, continue to tell a story. But those two against those two, I mean, that's oof.
especially too, there's now no middleman now between Roman and CM Punk. Now it's like there's no a go-between. Now it's like, oh, I have to deal with you one-on-one now, don't I? Shit. We actually have to talk. And but that's kind of the direction they're going with. And this really sets Seth up now for a real top run.
Yep.
I don't know what type of direction they're going to go now. Who's going to be winning titles and things like that. So but really, this puts them. This really puts Seth now in a position where it's like, okay, you should be able now to be a real focal point again. But it's almost like they're going to still cheer for him because it's Seth Rollins. It's going to be hard for people to kind of like fully hate him. Even though he's got Heyman behind him, because now nobody really fully hates Heyman. Because he's still the wise man and all that stuff. Even though he got banned from some restaurant because he turned against Roman, I guess.
Yeah, what happened?
He got banned from some restaurant on social media. They just said, you're no longer welcome at this restaurant.
I figured maybe he got banned from ESPN because, whoo, damn.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah. He made the original Shannon Sharp comment this week that was like, oh!
Yeah. I mean, listen, why don't we do it this way since we just got through night one? At the end of night one, how did you feel about the show? So far, obviously.
I mean, the two really the World Heavyweight Championship match really brought the night down. The finish, and also the Rey Fenix losing was another thing that took. So I would give it maybe a C. I'd give it a C if I had to give it a letter grade.
It's hilarious that you say that because I'm thinking in the back of my head, okay. And I remember closing the night out, night one, thinking the exact same thing. Just, okay.
Yeah, it was a C.
Yeah.
Like, it was passing, but barely.
I mean, I'll give it a C+ because I thought Tiffany and Charlotte, despite my objections to the match, brought the night back up a little bit. And then that going into the main event brought it back up a little bit. Because prior to that, you're right. Like, the first match with Jey Uso and Gunther, I felt was just...
that finish just... it was like... It was like a shotgun to the chest. It's like, well, we can try to put it back together. It's like, yeah, but no. Like...
It wasn't even like that. For me, it literally... Like, and maybe because I had partaken in some substances that night, I was like, what? Like, literally, Gunther taps out. I'm just like, wait, what? I was
so, like, that was...
Because I knew Jey was going to win.
I just couldn't get over it. I just couldn't get over it.
Yeah. I knew Jey was going to win.
Yeah, I knew that too.
But just the way he won, I was just like,
It's just, I couldn't get over it. I just couldn't. And I understand their reasoning, I guess, because it's like, well, Jay's over. It's like, is he or is it yeet? I still keep trying to, because I don't know legitimately. It's like a part of me is just like, yeah, he's over. Then another part of me is just like, it's the yeet, right? But no, it's just this was hard. This was a match, and it was just it started the night off where I'm just like, oh God.
You know what it is
Ah.
kind of what I alluded to earlier, but they had him question himself the last couple of weeks. There's a couple, botches or whatever, which, like, whatever, man.
Meltzer gave it 3.75 stars.
I think that's fair, though.
That is fair.
Because it wasn't a bit, like I said,
It wasn't a bad match.
take out
The
the
finish
ending,
was
it's not a
extremely
bad
questionable.
match.
No.
Yeah. Take out the ending, it's a good match, but the ending made it suck. But, like I said, everybody knew Jay was going to win. I'm okay with that. I just don't like how they've made him question himself after the botches and then made it even more of an underdog story. And then Gunther attacks Jimmy and makes it even more of an underdog story. And it's like, dude, stop trying to, like, shove him down the throat of an underdog. Like, he's not bad. Let's be honest. You decided to put the title on him. You don't need to build him up as the underdog.
It's the whole Rocky kind of Rocky 4 type thing that they were doing with this. I'm just like, it's not necessary. It's like, because look, we don't have to have every year a fucking goddamn like David versus Goliath story. Like, do we have to have this every year? We know how it's going to go. And it's like, just, we don't need it. We don't need it this year. Why don't we have Goliath go over David for once? And it's just, you're going to have him tap out? Come on. Yeah. That was. It was hard to kind of come back from that.
I agree.
It really was.
No, I agree.
But I will say that night 2 started off a hell of a lot better.
Oh, 100%.
Like, and in fact, Dave Meltzer gave this 5 stars. Io Sky defeats Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley to retain the Women's World Championship. Goddamn. Like I said, we were kind of arguing about the triple threat match from night 1 and then this one, and it's like, it's almost like they're 2 different matches because the first night is all kind of psychology, where this one was, we're just going to throw balls to the wall.
We're just going to throw everything.
Yeah, and this was, coming into this, we were like, I feel bad for Io Sky. And it's like...
Then she wins.
And then she wins. And she pins Bianca Belair, which kind of wipes out her perfect record at Mania, which was surprising as all hell. But it was definitely... And Stone Cold Steve Austin actually went up to Io Sky and congratulated her on having the match and said that was fantastic.
Yeah.
A 5-star match by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer. Io Sky retains the title. I did not expect it. To be quite honest, I thought it was going to be Bianca walking away with the belt.
Same.
I think that was a lot of people coming into this. And the fact that Bianca ate the pin was even more of another surprise that I did not expect. Just because of the record that's been currently going on with Bianca, where she could have still kind of held and said, well, I've technically never been pinned, so I'm still undefeated at Mania. Not this year, unfortunately. She got pinned. Io Sky retains. And
I have to say, too, the way she won, too, is, oh my God. The way
Yes.
she hit that over the moonsault, where she was able to hit it, and then pin Bianca immediately. Just, holy shit.
it did kind of bother me, though, the fact that they kind of repeated the same finish in a couple of matches later. But
I
had no problem with. It was the match 2 matches later that was just like, it's literally the same finish.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
But this was damn good. Like, it's very hard for me to kind of complain about this match being bad. It wasn't bad. It definitely, I think, hit all the ratings that everybody thought it did. Like, Meltzer gave it 5 stars. I agree with him. This was without a doubt, in my opinion, the match of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to go from the end of night 1, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns, into the first match of night 2, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Just, wow. That is a way to end and then start a WrestleMania.
Now, if this match started the show on night one, and
Would have
they
set a
put
tone for the entire weekend.
it would have set plus two, if this kind of was the first match for night one and then you switch some things over, so you add, it's Tiffany and Charlotte on night two, and then this is night one, and so then you have Gunther and Jey Uso later on in the card. You have this, the lead off night one, and then you have the ending for the triple threat match, the other triple threat match, bookending it. You're coming out of night one with both these matches with either a high B or a low A score for WrestleMania so far.
Yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, they did not go that direction. This was the match of night two. And it's not like with Jey Uso and Gunther with that finish. This started the night off so well. But then it's like, well, it can only go down from here. And that kind of seemed to be the theme in almost every match, especially too when we get to the main event. But this was fantastic. One of the best women's matches in company history, one of the best triple threat matches in company history, and I cannot say anything really bad about this match at all.
I'm in the same boat. I just, it was funny as I was thinking about it earlier because I was like, like not earlier today, but earlier that day, like after the event was over, it's like, that was such a great match, and I hate to critique it, but if you're gonna have Io win, why did you need to insert Rhea Ripley into the match? And I hate to say that after they put on a great triple threat match, like you said, but I had to think about that after the match too. It's just like, well, okay, that's awesome that Io won. I'm really happy with this match, but if Io was gonna win, why did you need to put Rhea in? It had to be the thought.
It didn't make any sense from that point of it, because it's just like, so she wasn't involved at all,
Because I'm not booked.
Because I'm not booked.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing coming into this, because it's just like, well, Rhea lost, she's into this. Bianca won the Elimination Chamber, so she does have the right to challenge for the title.
I mean, I'll say it this way. I didn't mean to cut you off, but if they now start a feud with Bianca and Rhea, and they blame each other for losing, okay, right? I just feel like that should be for a title.
Yes.
So take that out of the equation. You can still have Rhea interfere, if she's not involved in the match because she's not booked. And then you have Io and Bianca, and Io can still retain. Listen, I'm not trying to detract from the match that they put on, but it's just weird booking decisions that have going on lately. It's just, they could have gone about it differently. Still a great match, but
it's still nice to see Io win the match, though. When we kind of came into this thinking she was just an afterthought.
Yeah, we thought she was going to eat the pin.
Yep, and nope. She retains, beats Bianca Belair clean as a whistle, and I'm happy about it because I'm glad that Io kind of didn't get rolled over and kind of is the fodder in this match of someone that's going to be taking the fall, where she ended up winning the whole thing. Great match. Glad she won. And now on to a match, the Sin City Street Fight between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I just poor Drew. It's like, why aren't you challenging for the title?
Hey, listen, I agree, but he put on a great match as well.
It was a great match. One of the most viral moments of the entire show also came in this match with his
tweet.
pose. Yeah, it got one of the most reactions of anything that came out of
Oh,
WrestleMania
dude, I
this
retweeted
weekend.
that thing 10 times, and it's funny because as soon as he grabs the phone from his brother, who's sitting at ringside, I immediately went on Twitter because I knew he was doing it.
Of course.
And I grabbed that thing like 20 seconds after it was new, and I started reposting that shit.
He is, he is just a national treasure.
He really is, man.
He really is a national treasure. I hope that he gets a major title soon. And we have another, because he deserves it. I feel like he's a guy that's like, he needs to be your world champion, or at least close. So if he's the guy that beats Jey Uso, it's like, yes, I'm behind this. Yeah, because there's a lot of
Dude,
guys
he can beat
that,
Cena too, for all I care. He needs the belt.
He does. He does need the championship. And but this
Plus,
is a great
he's
match.
fucking earned it. I'm sorry. Like I know
He has.
I know we mentioned Sammy earlier. Sammy's definitely in the conversation for current talent that deserve a title run, but it's got to be Drew. It's got to be Drew.
It's got to be Drew, and I hope it is Drew. And either he takes the title from one of the two current champions, Jey Uso or John Cena, which we will talk more about later on as we get to that main event. But yeah, this is a solid match. I love Damian Priest, but at the same time, it's like when he's
Slayer came up with the wrong guy. Just saying.
that's true, but also too, it's like I like Damian Priest, but I like him up against the guys that like. But when he's up against people that I really, really like, it's hard for me to root for him. Like it because I love Drew, so it's like, sorry, like. Yeah,
That's the
like,
thing. No, I don't disagree. Like I like it's funny like when you can think of the people that you like against Damian Priest, and it's like Judgment Day, and that's it. And that's it. Like everybody else, it's like I don't care anymore.
He goes up to. I don't want him to beat Roman. I don't want him to beat Seth Rollins. Like there's this is like pecking order. This is just guys. It's like, yeah, I want you to beat some people, but nah, not this guy, not this guy, not this guy, not this guy, not this guy. You know, and that's kind of how with some of these guys I have kind of leaned to. But I'm glad Drew won. Hopefully this leads to something for Drew where he does get to a world championship rather shortly. So hopefully sooner rather than later. And of course, speaking of another finish tonight, of another match tonight, that if you asked me 3 years ago that I would be happy with this result, and I would have probably laughed at you and said that there's no chance that I would ever be really kind of happy with the decision for this next matchup. In a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental Championship, Finn Balor, Braun Baker, and Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. And
Who would have thought that we both would be rooting for Dom in this match?
I never thought in my wildest dreams that would ever happen. And I was honestly, this was one of my, as far as the weekend goes, because there was a lot of things that I did not like about the show. This was one of my favorite things about the show.
Yep.
Because the kid has earned it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's earned it. He got one of the biggest reactions of the weekend, even positively when he won the title. Like 3 years ago, again, the way that he was booked, he was Nepo Baby Dom. That was the way I looked at him. It's like, that's the way I looked at him. I'm like, he's only there because of his dad. He's not that good. He's a charisma vacuum. All he needed to do was change. And all he needed to do was just be like, I'm going to become the biggest scumbag on the planet. And it's like, he's become one of the most over heels in pro wrestling to the point of now where it's like he's become a cool heel, which I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be saying that. But he's entered that category. He's also one of the most humble guys, because you see him with people, you see him interact with fans, and he's just a very nice, humble guy. And he's earned this. He's earned the right to have the Intercontinental Championship. I'm 100% fine with it. Never thought in my wildest dreams 3 years ago I'd be saying that. The only problem I had with this match was, again, is that they used the exact same finish from 2 matches earlier. That I felt was lazy.
I mean, it wasn't the same, but it was, I guess.
Minor,
Yeah.
but lazy. Like, it was one of those things. I'm like, really?
But
Really?
I feel like how else they would have finished this one? He's obviously gonna hit the frog splash. Like, it's, come on, you know.
I mean, it's obvious. Even though you could have had like 2 people laid out, and he has to make a decision. Like, you could have Braun Breaker and
I guess.
Finn laying next to each other, and he's going to make a decision on if he hits it on Braun. Yeah, but there's probably a good possibility Braun is just going to kick out at 2 and kill him, or he hits it on Finn, and because he knows he's going to win, and so he decides to hit it on Finn. So he has to make a choice, right? Instead of just doing it like the way that he did it, of just like kind of a catch finish, which he still had to make a decision. But obviously, too, there's always that argument that he can make of just like, well, I meant to hit him. I didn't mean to hit you. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. It was again, something I was rooting for to kind of happen. I'm happy for the kid. Never thought I'd be saying that. I think everybody else is kind of shocked. I'm just like, who the hell knew we'd all be rooting for Dominic Mysterio to win this? And it's like, it's true. And good for him. I'm glad that they decided to do this and kind of given him a reward for a lot of the great work he's done the last couple of years, because he has been one of the most enduring characters in the company on TV now the last 3 years. So he earned this. I'm happy for him. And this next match, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, and everybody's kind of just thinking, we're all theorizing, right? It's going to be Rusev Day. Because Randy Orton now, Kevin Owens is not going to be able to face him. It's going to be Rusev. We're all thinking it, right? Or it's going to be a real kind of shocking kind of.
I mean, it was shocking, but not
it was shocking.
Not for the right
I
reason,
guess.
So
Say his name. Oh God. I heard his music and I just was like, oh no. Oh no. Oh God. Because again, I'm not on this train that everybody else is.
listen,
Everybody looks at
listen, I'm on the train. Okay, I'm sitting on the train, and I still hated it. But I hated it because I felt that you should have given this more than 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like that this more created a meme, if anything. This wasn't even a match.
It
It created a
100%
meme.
did. It was a moment, and I don't hate that they did it. I just hated the fact that it was 3 minutes and 10 seconds. It's like, dude, like, yeah, like, I get it, okay? But he's still TNA World Champion, too. Like,
Yeah, it is. I mean, even though the way TNA management looks at it and Joe Hendry looks at it,
I don't care.
people-
I got my moment. Yeah, I know.
exactly. That's the way they look at it. I mean, and you kind of knew though when he went for that pose. You're like, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Like you just know what's coming, and it came, and you're just like, oh my God. Like Randy Orton has reached a point now and a legacy of just exceptionally understanding his part in everything and being able to with this RKO gimmick, because it's absolutely perfect. Like, it's one of the best gimmicks ever of just randomly just ruining people's day of just Joe Henry. He's in front of over 60,000 people, and he's doing his pose. He's got everything. Ah! He gets taken out.
I just love the fact that Randy did it again after that.
Oh, God. He probably you got to figure with his contract how many RKOs, like how many checks, how much money every RKO he gets paid for. If he times it, like if he times it all out, it's just like, have you figured how many you've thrown out, like divided by how many millions? Like, oh my God. And then of course he would go on the next night to to ruin John Cena's coronation ceremony the next night on Raw. Just like right from behind him. Bam!
You know what? When that happened, do you remember the Simpsons episode where Nelson had the shirt where it's like nuke the whales?
Yes.
Gotta nuke something.
Yes.
That's how I felt on Monday Night Raw. It's like, somebody's got to do it. You might as well be Randy Orton. Okay.
Nuke the whales. Gotta nuke something.
Gotta nuke something.
That was the show. I felt like nuke the whales. Gotta nuke something.
Gotta nuke something. A lot of stuff got nuked on Monday Night Raw, though, so we can talk about that later, too. But the next match, because I don't feel like there's anything else to talk about with Randy Orton with Joe Hendry, was AJ Styles getting defeated by Logan Paul.
This hurt my soul.
This made me mad.
Hurt my soul.
This made me
mad. This was upsetting because I'm just like.
Listen, first of all, great match. Okay, like not taking anything away.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I agree. It was probably good, more than great, but I hated the fucking finish.
Hated it. I hated it
so much.
You know, and it's what's weird is with this Karrion Kross stuff, because he later on with his post-show interview, it's like
phenomenal. By the way,
I thought it was great, but at the same time, it's like when it comes to like a mainstream audience, like of course the internet guys like us are gonna IWC, we're gonna love them. But then when it comes to a mainstream audience, it's just like, I don't get him. And that's kind of the hard part with him. And because we all want to see him get a push. But then when he goes out in front of like an audience in front of 14,000 people and he doesn't get a reaction. So
I feel like they're going to bring back Killer Cross at this point.
I feel like that's what what they're going to have to do. I feel like that this is the way that this is kind of playing out, that they're going to have to do that
again, please.
No, just don't do that. Just let him be himself. And don't give him that dumb helmet that you did too. That was so dumb.
Oh God, yeah.
God. But yeah, this made me mad.
You know what though? I will say this just before we kill the conversation on Karrion Kross. If Malachi Black is definitely returning, put the two of them together.
Yes, I agree.
Just do it. That'd be a great stable.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah, and then you can push both at the same time as a team.
Yes, a tag team division that you need to be able to build up.
Yeah. Got to keep them on Raw then at that point.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. But
speaking
yeah,
of,
I hated this match.
I hated the finish. And it was another one where I was just like, well, add this to the shit that I hate about this weekend.
It's you know what? Everything after Randy Orton, I think went downhill.
Yeah. And this, of course, that I felt like was the high, is kind of where everything was just like, well, now it's the intermission, and now it's everything else. And this next match, which really kind of played into what happened on Monday, but also too, I was upset about because of the fact that Bailey got taken out. Bailey missed WrestleMania for them to. Becky Lynch is the surprise partner for Lyra Valkyria, and they beat Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Becky is back. Bailey's off the card. Poor Bailey. Like again, the sympathy that I feel for her on this show, it's like she won the Royal Rumble last year. She was in the main. She was in a really good WrestleMania title match last year, and she's had nothing but really good world title matches at WrestleMania. And she's not even on the card. To bring Becky Lynch in, who you could have done a Bailey and Becky Lynch kind of deal where Lyra Valkyria didn't even have to be in even the equation here, because she was already the Intercontinental Champion. So you could have had Bailey have a partner with somebody else, and then Lyra be the one be taken out, and then Bailey's still on the card, and it's her and Bailey, and it's Becky Lynch and Bailey, and Becky Lynch turning on Lyra Valkyria and turning on Bailey on Monday.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about Monday now? Because I feel it's relevant to talk about it since you just said what you said. We can talk about SmackDown the week prior. I put this in the chat, I think Sunday night, probably around this match. It feels like they're booking WrestleMania for Raw. And that match specifically is why I said it. And ironically, come Monday, like you said, Becky Lynch turns on Lyra Valkyria, and then they lose the titles back to Liv and Raquel.
Yes. Yes, they did.
I was so mad. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
And from what I've read, it was Becky's idea to turn.
That's fine. But
I don't like it.
why?
Yeah. And that's why I don't like it, because it's like, why? Why did we need to take Bailey out of WrestleMania?
She could have turned on Bailey. Lyra could be, because Lyra's young. She'll be on the card soon. And plus, she's already the Intercontinental Champion. But we're going to take Bailey out of the shit? Come on.
So that brings me to my next point. Last week on SmackDown, because now we're talking about taking people out of WrestleMania, right? Last week on SmackDown, we found out that it's going to be TLC for the tag team titles on SmackDown this week.
Oh, God.
Why isn't that on WrestleMania?
Because they needed to get, because they needed to be able to get El Grande Americano
And Ray
against
Phoenix.
Ray Phoenix,
Yeah.
and the New Day against the War Raiders on the show.
Yeah. Except we didn't.
No, exactly.
We need to do that.
They also didn't need to do Randy Orton against Joe Hendry either.
I mean, I'll give Randy his moment, but
Yeah, I will too, but it's still like
they definitely could have taken more time out of the next match, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
that. Oh God.
But where's Chelsea Green? Where's Piper Niven?
Yep.
Where's Nia Jax, who has held up at least half of your women's division the past year?
She's too busy writing her roast jokes.
Yeah, apparently Charlotte unfollowed her on social media apparently because of it.
Well, too, she said some wonderful things about Cody Rhodes. It's like, oh, they're going to scrub. Apparently, they're scrubbing that from the archives. Like they don't want to see any of that.
I'm going to be 100% transparent. I did not watch it.
I had no real desire
Neither
to
did
watch
I.
it, and
Neither did I.
if it was a better Mania, I probably would have been more invested to try to watch it.
Oh, without question.
But since I felt it was weak, I wasn't going to watch this because, oh my god, I would have roasted the shit out of this entire event. Anyways, that being said, I heard that it's probably a one and done.
Yeah, that it's like, but they took that risk coming in. Let's face it, they took
should
that
have
risk.
known from the whole like Trump speaks and stuff like that when he was at what, the RNC or whatever.
Well, yeah, that was like a New York, rally. That wasn't even.
Oh god, that's even worse.
Yeah, that was at the Garden. He said that line about Puerto Rico, and then yeah, but also to
Yeah, dude,
Hinchcliffe-
how do you think like Damian Priest feels in that moment? It's Selena Vega, who had
that's
family
true.
in Puerto Rico.
They're just sitting there, and they're just like, "Where's Shane Gillis?" Like,
Yeah, seriously, that's who they should have had.
There was a rumor that Donald was going to be making an appearance. Like
heard
that was
that too,
thrown out there,
Yeah.
but there was no Secret Service present, so that was not going to happen. Which I thought that was a real decent possibility, just because of the relationship that he has with Dana White was there, which he got booed, which was really kind of surprising considering he's a centerpiece in that town. But
It's probably
he's
why
also
they booed him.
it's because he's Dana White, which it's weird because it's like for years I always looked at Dana as like public enemy number one, as far as like when it came to the existence of pro wrestling, because let's face it, the UFC is a real version of professional wrestling. However, I like this stuff more than I do that stuff. Because I don't know, I like when I know when I root for a guy that his chances of winning are like with Roman Reigns as having a 3.5-year championship reign could never happen in UFC. It's very rare. There are a lot of times it's just like they win the title and then the next match they get blown out. And I've seen it like 1,000 times. They win the championship, and then it's almost like a transitional championship reign. And it's like, but it's the UFC.
Ronda Rousey.
No, she did have that. She did win a lot of the. She did win like so many in a row.
She did, but at the end though,
Oh,
she lost to
Holly Holmes.
Holly Holmes, exactly.
And then Amanda Nunes just finished her off completely.
Yep.
Nunes, to be quite honest, though, was probably the best. She has a case to be one of the best ever, not just men and women, just because of her win-loss record. I think she had like 15 defenses in a row where she just completely ridiculous, some of the records that she set. And I don't think she's going to get the credit that she deserves because she really wasn't a big pay-per-view seller, unfortunately. So, I don't know. But
Yep.
this was the match that I was coming into this fucking dreading. You kind of knew after Friday, especially, you knew the direction that this probably was going to go.
I feel that way, yeah, but also I feel like I'm not gonna lie. Going into this match at the end of the entire card before it, I was just like, I'm gonna fucking lose. Like that was my reaction. It's just like it just felt like we were on this like death march, honestly, going into this entire card, going through it, and then getting to the main event of night 2.
It was like Ford's Theater in 1865. Wilkes Booth has made his way to the balcony. We all knew that this result was probably going to be ending that way in sheer horror, which it did. John Cena defeats Cody Rhodes in one of the worst main events in WrestleMania history. Bar none. Cody is one of the most capable in-ring performers in the industry today. And Cena is also really good when he's in his prime. And it is obvious that he is getting out now knowing that he is not the John Cena of old. And this match definitely showed his age. And unfortunately, the way that I said it publicly on several occasions to people, they have decided to sacrifice their long-term goals and their long-term stories for a retirement tour and sacrificing match quality and a memorable ending to one of your biggest shows of the year, to your biggest show of the year, let's face it. And instead of people talking about positively like they were last year, even 2 years ago with Roman Reigns winning, in hindsight, people look at it and they say, yeah, that wasn't that bad now. There is no hindsight with this. There's none. A friend of mine pointed this out in a group chat this week. He said, this is the equivalent to John Cena losing to Triple H or Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22 or WrestleMania 23. And he was exactly right.
Yep.
This is the old guard not passing the torch in the right way. And the way that it should have gone was John Cena loses in a valiant effort. And you have him pass the record later on in the year against somebody else.
Like Jay.
Correct. But you didn't. You went the direction of sacrificing your top star that for the last 3 years you have been building on an extremely high level. 2 years ago.
Hold on, if I may. While I don't disagree with you at all, I feel like, and I know we've all been wishy-washy about this, but let's address this. He's so much better chasing the title than he is with the title. That's not his fault. That's how it's been booked. And he has not been booked that great this past year.
That's not his fault.
I don't disagree. I said that. It's not his fault.
I know. I feel like, though, that in the direction of just having every other aspect of him being WWE champion, he has been stellar across the board. And I'm talking just like public relations, looking the part. He has been.
He still carries a good match.
He does.
He's still a good promo.
As far as his. And this main event also took heavy hits with the Rock situation. If John Cena decided to turn heel at the end of this at the end of the night of night 2, and did not turn heel last month, this show might have been regarded higher. But because of the fact that they were worried about ticket sales, they needed to bring The Rock in, they decided to jump the gun a month. If John Cena turns heel at the end of WrestleMania 41, at the end of this night, if the heel turn happens Sunday night, instead of an Elimination Chamber, do we look at this show differently and how this ended differently?
Honest answer, No,
Yes.
no, I don't. This match sucked. This match
It was
dog shit.
it was terrible. It was
Listen, when he fought Theory, he didn't look good either.
he didn't look good 2 years ago. I feel like the best things for him have been tag matches because I feel like he doesn't have the
He doesn't
ability
have to
anymore.
do a lot at that point.
Exactly, he doesn't. And he doesn't want to take any big risks in a match either because of his career. Which I get. The Rock is kind of in that same predicament now. He doesn't want to take a lot of risks because of the physical wear and tear. It adds up. Plus, he's gotten older, and then on top of that, too, he's out doing movies all the time.
I mean, he says that, but he put on a great match last year in that tag match with Roman Reigns. And not for nothing, like, yeah, okay, it's a tag match, kind of like we just said that, John Cena has. But he ate the spear from Roman. He looked pretty good bumping. So, not for nothing, I felt like he put on a better match, tag or otherwise, than John Cena did.
He
Whether
did.
it's be this year or 2 years ago against Theory.
He did.
Saying.
The Rock definitely put on a much better performance last year than John Cena did this year. This is in the bottom 5 as far as WrestleMania main events are concerned, as far as finishes. This is the bottom 5. I would put that in surprisingly, he's in the category with Cena and The Miz from WrestleMania 27. He's in there a few times. So this is in the bottom 5. This was really bad. It just didn't click.
So bad for Cody, man.
It was so underwhelming. This whole thing has been underwhelming. Everybody's going to blame The Rock. Everybody's blaming creative. I don't know really who to blame at all. I'm kind of... You've had all these podcasters that's been ranting and screaming and yelling about it, and I understand their plight. I get it. I understand how a lot of these guys feel. We care about this stuff so much. But you also have to go to a point of it's a work. It's a work, guys. The Rock said it about, I can't remember Dave's last name for the life of me, but from Busted Open Radio, what he said, he's right, it's a work. And people need to realize that. And I understand we're paid pundits, so we have to kind of sit here and say, give my opinion. And the way that I look at it is, it's like, I don't care whose call it was. I don't care whose decision, who was involved. I don't care if there's problems between The Rock and Triple H. I don't care if there's between The Rock and the company. I don't care. The fact of the matter is that you were already going to make a ton of money anyways because it's WrestleMania. And you should have realized giving John Cena 22 minutes at this stage of his career is asking way too much. And Cody has had to carry this thing again with another part-timer going into this pay-per-view. For the last month, he's had to work pretty much by himself. And this heel turn has meant nothing. You already said it's the greatest heel turn in WWE history, and it has produced zero. Travis Scott came down and made the guy that you have spent the last 3 years building up to be a successor, to be the next big time person and the guy who's supposed to carry this company for the next 5 to 10 years in Cody Rhodes.
Oh, I don't know about 5 to 10. 5 to 7,
Probably
maybe.
5 to 7.
Yeah.
But
I don't disagree. Listen, I I walked away from it like, are you fucking with us?
yeah,
Like that's how I felt.
yeah,
I mentioned it earlier, like they're booking it for Monday Night Raw, and I almost feel like this kick in the balls feeling from this match is kind of like you said, a work and a little bit like Empire Strikes Back, if you forgive the Star Wars reference, where we're going to build up to something much better in the end. Whether that be he gets the title back, whether that be another big baby face comes in and knocks him off, like probably. But feeling like doing it this way at WrestleMania, I was just really, we couldn't do this at Backlash or something.
it was. It ruined whatever good faith that they had built up the last 3 years. It ruined a lot of it because you come into this and what everybody doesn't talk about, and I still keep reminding people, is the fact that, and my co-host is a prime example of that. John Cena chased away so many people as world champion.
Guilty.
When he was the focal point of the industry, he chased away so many people. Now everybody loves Cody Rhodes. He's outsold John Cena in 3 years that John Cena did in 15. And he's been nothing but the number one selling merch person on Fanatics. It's been consistently Cody Rhodes. But you wanted to sacrifice that, and The Rock also making the distinction that he wanted to originally turn Cody Rhodes heel, which boggles my mind of just like, why do you want to do that now?
Yeah, you. Oh, sorry, I'm checking updates on SmackDown. Apparently, Aleister Black is back.
Yeah, we kind of figured that was going to be happening. That they were doing all
I
the
wish they
vignettes.
just kept the Malachi name. I hate Aleister, man. I don't know.
Well,
One of those things.
Malachi also could be, the a thing with
AEW.
the AEW rights and stuff. So that could be a problem with there of why he couldn't carry over Malachi. But in the end, Aleister Black is back, so that could have some distinction with carrying a cross soon, as we were talking about that earlier. As Mac had brought that up, which I think is 100% right. That would be a good creative direction to go into. But
Well,
yeah,
here's a good segue too. We're talking about Cody now. What's he gonna do? And this could be something where they work together. They did this before, where when he lost at 39 originally, they brought back Brock, and they had that long term feud that took Cody out of that title run at that point, or the title contention for a few months. Could do the same thing here for a month or two, and then have him, attack Cena or something, and start that feud back up, and have it pay off at SummerSlam or something like that. You could do these different things with Cody now to build him back up, because again, I feel like he's really good at that kind of, I'm there but I'm not there character. Whereas
I feel like this is
the champion, it's like,
I feel like this is the third year in a row that The Rock has kind of held WrestleMania hostage.
I would say second. I wouldn't say.
Well, because he did confirm that there was discussions that he was going to be facing, that they were going to book for that Mania, I think Mania 39, it was going to be Roman and Rock, but he ended up backing out. So that's 3 in a row where he's kind of had a cast a giant shadow on things that were going on, or could be going in one direction. And unfortunately, I feel like
he definitely held it hostage this year for sure.
he held it hostage this year, and it's just when he's out there and just saying, "Oh, these two guys," it's like the this is the greatest. They're talking about this is the greatest angle of all time and all this stuff. It's like from talking about from last month with Elimination Chamber. And it's just like, no, it's not even close. It just this is one we're going to look back on and just say this was. It's not even one than 5 years from now we're going to look back on and say this was bad. We can look at it now 6 months from now. We can be like, this was bad. Like this was
I looked at it 5 minutes after it was over. It was bad. I'll look at it 5 years from now.
The
I'll still
match,
think it was bad.
the decision, everything, and it's because I'm not even. I don't give a shit that he won his 17th title because the record really means nothing in the end. Because in the end, Flair could also have over 20 world titles, but we won't really go into that. We won't go into that long-term discussion. But in the end, it's like we have. I get it. Like people are happy that Cena won. I'm glad that he brought that up on Monday. It's like you boo him Friday, you cheer him Friday, and then you boo him Sunday. You sick bastards. It's like, because I get it from that perspective in the way that he brought that up because of the audience and how they look at it, because Cody has done nothing to really deserve the boos that he got on Sunday night. And it was also like Bianca getting booed at the beginning of night one. Like she was night two, excuse me.
Right.
She was getting booed too. It's just like, what has she done to do this? And that's the weird part. It's like some of these stars that are just top tier that have done nothing wrong and are supposed to be the wholesome baby face, the people just turn on them anyways. And I think that's part of Cena's reasoning for this, because again, he's trying to ruin wrestling for everybody, which I don't want to go back to 2005, 2010. I really don't. Again, I don't think it's going to be a thing where there's not going to, it's a real short-term thing, right? I just have to deal with the rest of this year and then I don't have to see him again in the ring. Which I honestly think that that's the truth. I don't think that you're going to see him back in the ring after this. I think once he says he's done, which I respect, because, of course, there's 900 people that would sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to come back, and then that leave the industry, and then 2 years later they're back in the ring. Woo! But it's still annoying. It's 2025. And I have to deal with John Cena closing out a WrestleMania and annoying the piss out of me. And Travis Scott was involved in the finish. And it was just a ball shot and a title belt that defeated Cody Rhodes. After last year, he took like the Samoan Spike and 18 spears and couldn't get beat by Roman Reigns and defeated Roman Reigns for the title. But this year, he took a couple of attitude adjustments, including one off the top rope. Travis Scott comes out, and that's what makes him lose the match. Yeah.
That's honestly why I think Cody should just get the win back. I don't care when, but he needs to get the win back, in my opinion. Because like
Dog
you
shit.
said, it was a dog shit finish. I mentioned it earlier when we kind of
were having a general discussion about it, where Travis Scott's entrance was like, what, 3 minutes long?
Oh, it was.
It wasn't even a run in, it was like a saunter in.
It was a stroll in. That's what it was. He just strolled right in there. You know what's funny? I ended up watching this week the documentary that they released on WrestleMania 9, the spectacle of WrestleMania 9. And Hogan beating Yokozuna was a better finish than this. Was a better finish to WrestleMania than this was.
I hate to kind of say that, but you're not wrong.
Because at least you left shocked and people were happy. Like, yeah, there were people cheering when Cena won, but realistically, not many people are happy with that show. If I spent as much money as they were charging for admission to that show, I'd be pissed off.
I'd be mad. Yeah.
I would be furious.
I don't disagree. I mean, listen, like, part of it's the inconsistent booking of it all, too. Like, let's be real. Like, some of these matches, we had this conversation.
It's been terrible.
The build for a lot of these matches has been very inconsistent. Jay botches, so he's an underdog for like 2 weeks, and then I think going into the third week, he's still an underdog, but then, Gunther attacks Jimmy and bloodies him up, and it's like, oh, that escalated quickly, and then the next week is like a random face-off, and then the next week is WrestleMania. And it's like, the fuck is going on?
And then,
like, that's what I have to ask myself through a lot of this. And the same happened with Cena. Cena, we knew this was going to happen, though, because of the fact that he's a part-timer. And he was in Europe, especially when they came back to the States. There was another 2 weeks till WrestleMania. Can't do much. It sucks, but and we had this conversation prior to WrestleMania. It's like, if the match is good, we could maybe look past some of this.
yeah.
Jey Uso and Gunther, we kind of looked past it a little bit because of the match, which was good. It's just the finish sucked.
Finish sucked.
You can't even say that here. This
No.
was not a good match, and the finish still sucked.
Yeah, it was all bad.
It was all bad.
It was all bad. And it just, yeah. And I understand their thought process, because it's just like, oh, it won't hurt Cody. It does. It does hurt Cody. It does hurt Cody. And it does hurt because Cody defeated Roman Reigns. He took the sword out of the stone. He was the guy. And Roman Reigns defeated John Cena at SummerSlam back in 2021. So, to establish his title reign even further. And now all of a sudden, Cody Rhodes has to lose his first WrestleMania title defense against. Because of Travis Scott, not The Rock. And you knew in October The Rock was not going to be available. Well, and then he denied it and said he wasn't going to be available.
If you listened to Meltzer, that's what you believe.
But Meltzer was right.
He was. I mean, he ended up being right, yeah. But, I mean,
and
those moments, we all thought, no, that can't be true. And then The Rock basically confirms it on Pat McAfee anyways.
Yeah, it's like, because he even had Gerwitz. Gerwitz was just like false. He had people in his own camp trying to say that he was going to be available for Mania. And that's a false report. And it turned out to be the case. He wasn't available for Mania. I understand their thought process, because it's the same thing on why they had to bring Hogan back at WrestleMania 9. Because in the documentary, they talked about it, how it was like the end of 92, and they only sold like 2,500 tickets to the show. And then they brought Hogan in February, and then the advances started to shoot, like way up. And which is why Hogan got a lot of leverage, and Vince went the way he did at the end of the show. Which now you look at it, which also I went back and I saw the documentary. They were interviewing people after the show, and it was overwhelmingly positive when Hogan. Everybody was excited that Hogan won the title. I'm sure if there was internet back then in an internet wrestling community, that the majority of us would be flipping out back then. But the majority of the audience at that show were excited that he won the title. And I know that there was a contingent of the fan base that was happy on Sunday that John Cena won the title. The fact is that you look at it now business-wise and why they had to bring Hogan in at WrestleMania 9. And the fact that their gates went up. And which is also why you say, well, we're going to give him the strap because of all the business that he's been able to give us with this, and leverage this out. And Hogan did that. It was smart on him, but also he had the ability to do that because the house jumped. The pay-per-view revenue jumped because he was a part of it. This event, I look at it and I say to myself, you're sacrificing your long-term health for a guy that will not be in the company next year. He will not be an active competitor after December. And instead of being able to come up with a finish that makes it look reasonable for that talent on why they lost, and also giving that talent a reasonable explanation on why they lost. A major foul, a run-in, somebody turning on them, The Rock coming in. Instead, we got fucking Travis Scott.
Because I'm not booked.
And that will be the epitaph for this whole weekend. Fucking Travis Scott.
Well, the epitaph will also be what we talked about when we opened the show about how also on night 2 is Steve Austin ramming into the barricade with his ATV 4x4.
Oh boy. Nick Khan with his company Amex card.
Dude, he was out there.
He was out there fast. He ran like the 90-yard dash. He's out there with the Amex card for the company. Neat.
So I've seen the camera from the fan side, and honestly, It didn't look like anything, except when she's getting up, I noticed there's a whole drink that's spilled. So I'm kind of curious if maybe he just knocked her shit over and it went everywhere.
I mean,
either way, she's getting free tickets for life if she wants them.
It didn't budge.
It didn't look like it did, yeah.
Barrier held in place. So it's not like, but she went down. It was like a delayed reaction, which I think that was, which in my cue of just she might be working a little bit, because she just kind of went down, all of a sudden she's just and then just but Nick was over there so fast. It's just all of a sudden out of the corner of your eye, you just see Nick Khan out there. You're like, oh boy. He's out there with that company Amex bill. Neat.
He's probably okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 tickets for life. Okay, got it.
It's gonna be him, and it's gonna be that family and green shirt guy for life.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna see that. You're gonna see them now, at every single show for eternity. And she's probably I don't even like this.
She looked pissed.
Oh, she looked bad. Which I think that's the number one concern. They're they could get sued for this. It's I think there's enough. There's enough evidence, I think, on their side of, she really didn't get that hurt. Of course, now they could be like, emotional distress. Yeah, that'll be a. But yeah, I don't think they're going to let Steve come out with ATVs anymore. They're going to be like, no.
Yep.
Like, considering the fact that he was having issues getting up the ramp,
Yeah.
let alone
saw
anything
that.
else.
Yep. I was kind of curious if he had any of those Steve wires before he went out there, because
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Shit.
He's just like the question is who he'd be drinking with. Like, is it just him in in a room somewhere? Just be like, God damn! It just
Who knows? I don't know who he'd be drinking with. Maybe Drew McIntyre.
maybe Drew. I was thinking that it's like him and Drew McIntyre just drinking. It's just like, hey, you don't want to try my IPA? What? You want to try?
What?
You want to try?
What?
You want to try my lager? Yeah, because my stuff's better than whatever piss water that Hulk Hogan's putting out. You guys could have called me, but instead you get Hulk Hogan to come out there. Like, I've had the beer going longer, and it's a much better version of whatever piss he's selling out there. God damn.
What?
What?
Oh, God. Listen, I just. A lot of this WrestleMania, truthfully, felt like just straight up missed opportunities.
It's just,
Were there cool moments? Were there good moments? 100%.
there were cool moments. Of course there was. There's always cool moments in a WrestleMania every year. The problem is that the things that people remember are always the important things, which sometimes can be the opening match on night one or the ending of night two. And this show started questionable and it ended terribly. And
I mean, listen, I'm going to say it one more time. I don't hate that he won. I hate that they gave it 21 minutes and 40 seconds, according to Wikipedia, anyways, of just bad. Just bad. And I feel bad for Cody Rhodes, but even he couldn't save this match.
no, he couldn't.
Couldn't save the wrestling
No,
of
he
it,
couldn't.
and he couldn't save the booking of it.
He's up there against a guy that can no longer do the things that he was able to do 10 or 15 years ago.
I mean, even objectively, he couldn't do that much then either. But
Well,
he can
exactly,
do even
that's
less now.
And, he doesn't want to take risks because of his film career, which is fine. Then why are you making him world champion?
That's the thing.
And that's going to be the hard part. And, we're going to get Randy Orton and John Cena one more time. Great!
I don't hate that, but again, like, why
I don't
not
hate it,
have
but it's
Cody...
necessary.
Right, but you mentioned this earlier, and I think it's so telling because again, why not have Cody win, have it be a big moment? John Cena's all happy for him, congratulates him, and then kicks him in the balls, and then you set this up for Backlash. Why does it have to be at WrestleMania?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew that this was not a decision they had to make at Backlash or another show coming up later in the year on why this had to be the ending to WrestleMania. Because this is as bad as it gets. This is as bad as it gets. This is bottom 5 main events in the history of WrestleMania. And that's saying a lot. Because there have been some matches that have been bad. But this was terrible. And I don't blame Cody for it at all. I feel like he got shafted. The two people I feel bad more about this weekend, Bailey and Cody Rhodes.
Feel bad for a lot of people this weekend, but yeah, those are definitely top two on the list.
It's hard. It's hard because it's like I want to be able to come on here positively and come out of this weekend. And it's like it was like I almost knew going into this last weekend, I'm like, I am going to be mad or upset or feel like I wasted my time at the end of this. I just sense it. And that's happened before. And then the show ended up turning out to be really, really good. This was one of those times I came in underwhelmed and it met my expectations, if not lower than the expectations that I had already set for it. And again, I feel like I wasted my time. And there are certain points, too, being a wrestling fan, where you could like a guy for years and support them for years, and then one decision they make changes the course of that person's career for their entire career. And I don't feel like that happened to Cody completely, but a part of me feels like it did. And again, it is for short time, short term gain in a long term story. You sacrifice long term for a short term gain. I get it. People want to see John Cena's retirement tour, but he doesn't need the fucking title.
I feel like this is going from like Cam Newton to Mac Jones on the Patriots. Cam Newton's not bad. He used to be good. He used to be better, but he's still okay. And then you're going with Mac Jones, who's not bad until you realize, yeah, you're not that good, dude.
You're not that good, dude. You're not that good. You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
He's not. And you know, I can't underscore the fact that, because I know it sounds like sometimes I hate Cody, and I know that I say things about him sometimes, but it's like Cody's a good dude. Number one. Number two, this run has not been his fault.
No.
Like, he's put on solid matches when he's need to put on solid matches. How often do you see Cody Rhodes botch?
Hardly ever.
Exactly. Plus, he puts on a good promo, like I said earlier. Listen, he's just so much better chasing. He really is. And I feel like, we're recording this on Friday. We haven't watched SmackDown yet. I'm just checking updates here and there. I didn't see anything about Cody yet. But you kind of wonder what the reaction he's going to get now.
Well, I hear Cody's taking time off.
He should.
Yeah.
But then what happens when he comes back? I think he should have been there tonight to kind of gauge the reaction and then go away.
Well, I think that you have him make like a shocking return at the end of a pay-per-view or something like that. You can do that. I think he's earned that kind of right.
I think he has
to do so. Where you make it like a.
It's just tough
at the end of
the way the crowd reacted, though. That's
no, I know it's a nostalgia trip. I think that's the only reason is because there's an entire generation of people that looks at John Cena and there's a lot of people that grew up hating John Cena that have turned on the side of, well, I like John Cena now. I've pretty much stayed consistent since 2006, 2007. About 2006, and I've just been like, I'm fucking done with this guy. And I've been consistent since. But you also have those kids that cheered for Cena. And of course, that they're 25, 30 years old now. So they're kind of in the reverence of they're rooting for him because they were there, kind of like I was with Hogan when he came back in certain points in the 2000s, where it's like your hero and you're older and you want to reminisce and nostalgia. It's a nostalgia act. I think that was the reason why everybody kind of got behind Cena at this show, because, and they know that they're probably never going to see him again, that this is it. So you're dealing with, again, the nostalgia act of it. And then people were just like, I just think Cody was going to be in a tough spot no matter what, because people are going to root for Cena because they're dumb, but no.
No, you're right. They're dumb. They're dumb.
It's just the fact that you're now dealing with the people that are over hating him and he's earned enough of their respect where they're just like, all right, man, we're cool.
No, he hasn't.
I'm just saying for some people. I'm
he
not
hasn't.
saying I get it. I understand.
I said it earlier. We were talking a little bit about it before. I said, after you had brought up what he's been saying lately about watch me ruin wrestling, for me it's like Chris Rock. You're gonna hate wrestling twice because he's gonna literally make me hate it again now. Especially he comes out before he gets tapped by Randy Orton, obviously, is counting down dates of when he's going to be there and stuff. I'm like, dude, you're a douche. Like,
The problem is
get off
now
my
we're
TV.
paid. Now the problem is we get paid to watch this, so it's like, God damn it!
I know.
It's like I gotta keep. Damn it! I don't want to deal with this asshole again. Because that's the way I look at it. It's just like I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. Like I've been. It's been so long. It's been so nice, and then it's just like I'm going on a retirement tour. Fuck. And this year has finally come, and I'm just like, can it just be over already? Can you blow your Achilles? Come on!
This wasn't necessary. He didn't need to win 17, and like
No.
we said, win it later from somebody else, not at WrestleMania, especially too. But also the simple fact is, he's not good in the ring anymore.
No.
Like, he's just not. So this didn't need to be the main event. It didn't need to be for the title. It didn't need to be WrestleMania. You could still have a WrestleMania match, but none of this needed to happen. And any momentum that you want to try to build with Cody has always happened at WrestleMania. That fell flat this year. And his performance, through no fault of his own, sucked. He put on four at this point. Well, no, I'm sorry, three. Three between last year's WrestleMania, where he main evented night 1 and night 2, the year before against Roman, and even going back to the year he came back with Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Put on really great matches. And then this one just no. Like,
Just stunk out the joint.
yeah. And again, that's not his fault, but that is now tied to him. And
No.
that sucks.
And it shouldn't be.
Well,
Like I said.
he never had a bad match at WrestleMania. Well, yeah, against John Cena, the main event of day 2 of WrestleMania.
Well, this douchebag over here. Like, it's so hard. This show is so hard because it's like if you reverse the show where the triple threat match from night 1 is the ender of the weekend and is the main event for night 2. Again, people would be scoring this event a lot higher. And I think people would be going home a lot happier than what they got.
I just for every good match, there was a bad match. Or maybe not a bad match, but a
Something
bad,
questionable.
stupid finish. Yeah.
Where we're just like, oh my God.
Like, I'm sorry, Logan Paul does not win over AJ Styles. I'm
No,
sorry, that does not happen.
no,
Whatever you're gonna try to do with carrying Cross and him, fine, whatever, but it shouldn't be at the expense of losing a WrestleMania.
no,
You know,
no, it shouldn't.
Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, yeah, it did its job. It didn't blow me away though. It was a good match for what it was, but okay. And then I have to go back even further to Monday, or Monday to Saturday, because again, when you look at all the matches that we had ahead of us, you kind of just take all the air out of the room with Jey Uso and Gunther. I get it. You got to put Jey Uso over, but Gunther needed to tap out.
It was an extremely questionable WrestleMania on many fronts.
It was.
And I think that in the end, it sucks. I hate it. I hate that that what has gone on, and the fact that everybody kind of is out of this thing now, and that good faith that everybody had towards the company for so long is now out the window. Unfortunately, for a lot of us,
Well, I think
we're
we
now
gave
actually.
them good faith since the Elimination Chamber. Because let's be real, we talked about this earlier. The booking is very inconsistent.
It has been not great. And you can make an argument that this could have been a one night show, instead of just a two nighter. And, or all you had to do was just change some things around and where matches were placed and what nights. And you might have been able to save this and make it a passable show. But this is the worst one in at least 5 years. And that's it, easily. This is probably the worst one in the last 5 years. And that's hard for me to say, because they have been on such a roll, I feel like, as far as
Well, call
pleasing
a spade
the
a spade,
audience.
man. Call a spade a
Yeah.
spade. Like, if it was bad, it was bad. Like, and it was. You're 100%
It
right.
was.
And I understand where you're coming from in the sense that they have garnered good faith, especially coming out of 2019. That was bad. Like, that was unwatchable for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people jump ship to watch AEW at the time. They've since made a strong comeback. They've gotten even stronger since Triple H has taken over at Creative. But I would say the last 2.5 months, they've hit like a wall. And the Royal Rumble, I think, was okay. It didn't blow me away, but it was okay. Elimination Chamber, listen, some parts were good, some parts not so good. And then they had this long lull from Elimination Chamber to Mania where it just felt like they really had inconsistent storytelling. They seemed like a lot of the time they were kind of like just dialing it in, honestly. Some segments, yeah, okay, they worked. But anything else, it was hit or miss at times. And it kind of happened a little bit last year, but I feel like last year there was enough going on that we kind of dismissed it.
Right.
Plus, last year they had less time between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania than they did this year. But this year, for me, it was like, wasn't there. It wasn't. And then I felt like as we got into the show, it just became more and more apparent that some of this stuff, they're just kind of booking short term, which is fine. It's fine. But why does it feel like now that WrestleMania was just kind of booked for the Raw after Mania? Looking at the matches that we got with EO and Stephanie Becker, getting the return of Rusev Day, like all that stuff.
I mean, I like the fact that they brought back the specialness and the uniqueness of the night after WrestleMania Raw. I'm glad they did that, because there have been complaints the last couple of years, and it hasn't been, especially that 2 years ago where Vince came in and tore up the script at like 6 o'clock. It was just like, nope. That was also, I think, that was his swan song. They realized after that, they're like, we cannot have him back in creative. Like that, it cannot happen. And they moved him out of there quick. But then you had last year, people complained because it wasn't special enough. And this year, I felt like that they put out a very good attempt on making it more unique. And they also did it with SmackDown tonight, from what I was reading. So
I just felt like some of it was like, what are you doing? Like,
well, you think about like you think about the Attitude Era, which I tell everybody, right? The Attitude Era had great TV, but their pay-per-views sucked. The majority of them. Like you think about WrestleMania 15.
That's what I mean though. Like when I said earlier, they're like booking it for television, booking it for Raw after
Right.
Mania. Like I remember we talked about that with Scott Hudson, where he was even saying that he felt some of those WCW pay-per-views, they're just kind of booking them for the next night on Monday
Yes.
Nitro.
He's right. He's 100% right. And I feel like that kind of, when you're getting paid as much money as you are from Netflix, it's like you kind of have to make it a priority to make Raw something special and big. So I get that. And I'm glad that they at least, they're trying to at least make Raw more of destination television again with some of the things that they pulled off. Especially too with the Rollins, Heyman, and Braun Breaker stuff too. It'll be interesting if they get Becky Lynch in that group. There's so much potential there. And there's so much potential in general, I think, for especially the Raw brand on the direction they can go with that. It'll be interesting to see who takes the title off Jey Uso too. Let's be honest.
Ah, you have so many options. I feel like let it be Drew.
Yes,
Let it be Drew.
100%.
Just
100%.
just sign that out. Go back to the little feud that they had when he was, in the bloodline and stuff and all that. Let him get his vindication that way, even if it's not Roman Reigns.
Claymore.
Yep.
Yes.
That just feels like the best way to do it. But like I said, they teased Sammy. I think they did that purposely. Who knows if they're actually going to do anything. I know that's on a lot of people's wish lists at this point, especially the way Kevin Owens went out.
Right.
You could turn Sammy into a very similar heel. He's done it in the past. Easy. But I don't know. There's a lot that, we still don't know. I just, some of it I just felt like they booked for literally that night, though. Like the ladder of Becky, Liv, and Raquel, like, I felt like that was just booked literally for the next day. Like, okay, we're going to win this night, and then this night I'm going to turn on you.
No, it was, especially to just Becky kind of going in there and sacrifice. And by the way, I do have to admit that her daughter at the press conference
that was adorable.
That was adorable. And that was one of the better parts, I thought, of the whole weekend. Was just her at the presser. But it was a great show at certain points. On Monday, it was really a great kind of building block for what the next year is going to look like. But also the next, at least in certain things, at least with the Rollins and the Heyman thing, that new direction of where that's going. Because, Roman's at a point where he doesn't need Heyman anymore. CM Punk doesn't need Heyman. So Rollins doesn't need him either, but Rollins kind of in a group with Heyman behind it, it adds a bit of intrigue. And also now with Braun Breaker in there, so now you have a current established top star, and now you're going to have a top star of the future.
Yep.
And, the sky's the limit. So from that perspective, it was a great Raw after Mania because you had several developing storylines and kind of a new direction on where things are going to go for the next year or so. And then also Randy Orton hitting an RKO out of nowhere on John Cena is always a highlight. So, but yeah, the Becky thing was just kind of like, what the fuck? So you did this just to screw her over? Huh? Okay. All right. Go with it then.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense, and it just felt like, when you look at the rest of the cards and stuff that happened after on the next Monday, obviously, it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I don't know where to go from here on this because it's like I want to be able to talk about this in something positive or give some type of positive light. But the way this show ended and the way that everything, it's just hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to sit here and think positively and also understand the direction they're going in the next 6 months. Because it's like, okay, so who's going to take the title from Cena? How are you going to bring Cody back? Who's going to beat Jey Uso? How are you going to rebuild Gunther? There's all these things, questions that I have coming out of this show. I have a lot more questions than I do answers. Where last year, all the answers got fulfilled. The year before, most of the answers got fulfilled. This year, I know nothing. Really. It's like, where are we going from here?
Yeah, it's tough this year because, last year we had a definitive story in a lot of ways, and other stories I feel like for the other matches were pretty definitive. This didn't feel that way. Like you've completed Cody's story. You had the tag team championship match. You had so many different things mixed into the card. I'm blanking on a lot of it right now if you couldn't tell. But it felt like a more complete show where this one, it didn't really feel that way for a lot of it. It felt just very, I don't know, like a roller coaster. Like, okay, crap match.
It didn't feel special.
It didn't.
It didn't. It felt like a B show. It felt like at certain points even a C show. And it's just, it's tough. It's tough for me to sit here and come up with anything positive at the end of this where it's like, well, that got fulfilled or anything like that. Because it's like, no, not really. I feel like it's an incomplete grade or a failing grade, to be quite honest, because it's hard to just get the finish out of your mind of the main event. It's hard to kind of to get that out of there where you're just like Travis Scott fucked everything up.
I can't get over that they gave him like a 3-minute intro
That too.
during the middle of a match, but that's the point. All right, so you talk about where are we going to go now, and I pulled up the PLE list for 2025, and here's what we have for the next few months. For PLEs, we have on May 10th, Backlash. We have, I don't know why it says it that way, but looks like May 24th, so 2 weeks later, Saturday night, main event. Then we have the NXT shows, so that was May 24th, excuse me. So then June 7th is Money in the Bank. Looks like they are going to do Evolution, which is the all-female show. That's going to be July 5th.
Mohegan's Son, actually, right?
Yep. And then Saturday night main event is a few days later, July 12th. And then SummerSlam is August 2nd. So that's up to the next big show, one of the big four, obviously. like they have another month right now before Backlash. And then in 2 weeks after that, they have Saturday Night Main Event.
I have to read this. This is from John Cena's promo tonight, because this kind of somebody that we know. This kind of speaks to them perfectly. No, not him.
I'm kidding, I know.
The reason why I don't have kids, quote John Cena, the reason why I don't have kids, because I have spent the last 25 years raising yours. For the last 25 years, I've been a better parent to your kids than you could ever be. That's right, your dad's a loser. That's why I've been policing Brett's for a quarter century. End quote.
I mean, where's the lie?
Ah, I gotta admit, some of his promos have been like some of the quotes he's made have just been really on point. Like the one he made about Cody, it's just like you booed him on Friday, you cheer him on Friday, you boo him on Sunday, you sick bastards. It's like it's just he is pointing out the hypocrisy of the fan base sometimes, which he's right, and especially him. I mean, which I like that part of it. I just don't like the fact that he's doing it because I don't want to see him on TV anymore. I'm done. I'm just done. Like we've moved on. Can we just get rid of you, please?
I'm gonna bottom line it this way. I apologize, but I'm gonna bottom line it this way. If I'm Triple H on Sunday night during the main event, I am radioing to the referee, calling an audible, and keeping the belt on Cody. Because this dude can't fucking wrestle. Like, why put the belt on him? I get it. Nostalgia, I get it. He's a big name, but dude can't wrestle anymore.
No. He's no longer Big Match John. You know, those days are over. It's the he tried. I'll give him credit, but I think he knows, and it's quite obvious, and it's been that way for a few years, that he can no longer carry a match like that anymore. He can't do it, and it's just he's gotten older. His priorities have changed, so it's yeah, and unfortunately, that's where we're at. I mean, I think he just turned 49 or 48 this week or something like that. You know, the body, yeah, the body changes, folks, as you get older. So he's not able to do Super Cena stuff anymore to that extent. So, yeah, but that was WrestleMania. And
Yeah. It was tough.
WrestleMania, meh, yeah.
WrestleMania. It was just tough this year. I feel like a lot of things were going on that just made it like not as special this year. And I know you mentioned that about the event itself, and I don't disagree. It's just I wanted more out of it. I got some of the things that I wanted out of it, but some of the other stuff was like, what are you doing? Like, just what are you doing?
It's so difficult to kind of sit there and be like, yay! You know, like it came out of this in such higher, everything was so much better than I thought it was going to be coming into this weekend. But you just had a feeling, you're like, this is going to end terribly. Like this weekend, there's going to be a lot of, and if it was just Cody losing to Cena, it may have still saved things for me. But there was just so many other questionable things that it just was like, no. I'm not going to go back and watch this. I like the set, but I'm not going to go back and watch this. Like, I have no interest. I'm not going to go back there in 10 years and think this is, maybe I'll watch the EO and Bianca and Rhea match again,
Yeah,
or Punk.
I would watch certain matches. I wouldn't.
Certain
watch the
matches
whole
I watch
events.
it, but not cover to cover anymore.
No.
Like, in my world, this match doesn't exist. And that's the way I'm going to
Well, like I said, I felt like night 2, anything after Randy Orton shouldn't have existed in the first place.
That's true. And some would say that Randy Orton segment shouldn't have existed. Me, not so much.
I don't like the way they did it. I don't like that they only gave it 3 minutes. Other than that, though, no, give him a WrestleMania.
It's not my fault that you believe in Joe Hendry, okay?
Couldn't hit fast enough.
I believe in Joe Hendry. Ugh.
I just, dude's TNA champion. You're trying to keep good relations with him. I get what was said earlier. By him, by the promotion itself. Dude, WrestleMania moment. I just, I'm not gonna say it was a squash match, but it's pretty fucking close.
I mean, yeah, but I again, it created a meme. That's all that's all I felt like that they were kind of after, thinking that I was going to be able to create a meme and create a moment that people are going to look back on and be like, that was funny. And that's exactly what it did. And that's why I'm okay with it, especially too with the fact that Joe Hendry, it wasn't even a competitive match, which I find hilarious. It's like he does his little thing,
That's
and
why
then
I was
Orton
kinda
catches
like,
him.
come on, like, listen, it was.
They got 3 minutes, yet Randy Orton and John Cena got 21. Come on.
Cody Rhodes, you mean?
Well, yeah, it's true. Sorry, I'm tired. That's why this is happening.
I could tell.
So
I mean,
I figured we.
Yeah, I mean that's as good as time as any to say call it quits, because I mean I don't know what else we could really say that's positive about this.
It's disappointing. I want things to be better. That's all I ever want. I want things to be better. Even though leaving this WrestleMania now, I'm like, things are not better. I feel like they're worse. And there's also so many question marks now. Because let's face the facts, if there's an internal power struggle of people that want to take over creative and have the current person removed from creative, I feel bad for that. Because I really don't trust the one person that wants to take over, if it is The Rock and his team. Because the fact is I think Triple H does enough where that he's able to steer the ship. The problem is I don't know where to go from here.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem I have right now. I don't know where you go from here. And
to your point, though, I would just want to interject this one part. Listen, I know it's been well documented at WCW with Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, but I feel like Triple H does need help. Like, I'm just gonna say it transparently. Like, and I feel like this WrestleMania shows that. I don't think he should cede all control, especially to the Rock's team, as you mentioned, but maybe have some other people come in and help him out. Because I feel like the last 2 months, as I said, and especially coming out of this show, like you're saying, he's kind of booked himself into a little bit of a corner. Because, and you mentioned this earlier, Cody looked really bad in that loss. Whereas the year before, looks really good in beating Roman Reigns.
well, he did that also with Gunther. Like, two guys that you have protected you have protected Gunther. Like, he has been bulletproof protected. And you have him lose to a guy that people were questioning him even winning the title, even by pinfall. They were questioning it. And instead, you go with, on this now all of a sudden he wins by tap out. It's like, oh no. Like,
Yeah, like listen, if Jey Uso was going to win regardless, so I'm not going to hate on that decision. But
Right.
if he won by a regular pinfall, I wouldn't have cared.
No, I wouldn't have cared either. It's just the fact that he won by submission.
Yeah,
It drives me crazy.
I felt like it was a pretty quick tap out too. So
It
not
was
for
very
nothing-
quick.
Not for nothing, I was like, wait, what just happened? But I just overall, I mean, I don't want to fail it. I want to give it like maybe like a D minus though.
I
It's hard. It's hard. Like there were some good spots. Don't get me wrong, but the matches where it needed to matter, I just felt like they severely under delivered. Like this one, like Jey Uso and Gunther, obviously. A Grande Americano, Rey Fenix. I mean, again, should not have been booked the way it was booked. I know you can't do much with Rey Mysterio getting the injury, but still.
because of the 2 triple threat matches, because of some of the other decisions that were made that were positive, and some of the matches that were also very good that were positives.
Yeah.
But the things that I hated were so bad that it hurts the overall rating. So I'm going to give it a little bit higher than a D minus. I'm going to give it a D plus. So they're in the high 60s at least, but still at the same. And they're not. It's not a failing grade, because yes, there are some things on it that it deserves. Like, I can't give a card that has a 5-star matchup and arguably one of the greatest women's matches of all time. I can't give that card, especially to the main event from the previous night with with Roman Reigns, Rollins, and CM Punk. I can't give that a failing grade either. So it's like D plus. I'll give it a high D. But considering they went into after night 1, I said a C. That shows you how bad the drop off was. Because it's just, they could have improved, because their overall grade after that triple threat match at the beginning of the show, that moved about to like a B plus. And Dominic winning, okay, all right, we're still at a B plus. Still at a B plus. Joe Hendry comes out. Okay, that drops it down to like a C minus.
I put it like a B minus at that point.
Oh, B minus for Joe Hendry? Okay. So that's fair. Yeah, you're right. It's a slight drop off, but it's not completely. So that's a B minus.
I mean, it gives Randy a funny moment, and like, okay, Joe Hendry is your opinion, but it gives him that moment too, despite my grievances, the fact that it was done in that way. But whatever. Like, I don't hate the cards. Like you said, all those things before and after the triple threat to end night 1. Okay, it brought it back up. Everything so far has kept it fairly steady. And then this, I'll drop it a little bit. Like I said, I'm not going to give it a C yet, but I'll give it a B minus. Yeah. And then everything after this, just
yeah, it was bad. Like the ending to this show just collapsed in on itself. By the way, these are available at Ollie's. If you have an Ollie's in your area, they're for $15 a piece.
oh shit.
Yes, they're like canvas paintings, almost. Like it's if people have had if you've seen the Led Zeppelin poster I have in the house, it's kind of like that same thing that's hung up in my living room.
Okay.
But it's kind of like that. But so there's a Roman Reigns one, and there's a Hulk Hogan Hulkamania one, of course, now too. Those were picked up in Plymouth when I was with the wifey out there, and of course, so she goes back to the car because I'm like, all right, you got everything you wanted? Yep. So she goes out to the car, and then she just sees me coming out with these two things, just giant things hanging out of the car. She's just like, I can't leave you alone for 10 seconds without that. So, yeah. Yeah, but what a disappointment. It's the way I got to look at this show. It's the way I got to look at this event, the road to WrestleMania, everything. The set was great. Some of the matches were really good, but the important things in the end that mattered, dog shit. Just dog shit.
Yep. I don't even have anything else to say. That's the way to end the show.
I feel like that's the way to end it. Like just saying that. So to the Facebook audience, thank you for tuning in. We're going to be doing this now more often, previewing WWE pay-per-views and also giving our reviews. This will be posted now on their Facebook page, on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page. So you'll be able to watch us there. And of course, too, next week we have an interview, so that'll be good. But we'll be back to regular scheduled programming not because now this is the end of the WrestleMania chapter. So now we'll be back to doing other things next week and being able to more talk about broader things and also coming up with filler, because there are going to be those weeks of just like, well, there's nothing going on, so we got to come up with something.
Maybe we'll watch AEW for a change.
Yeah, exactly. Just not pay for their pay-per-views.
I know.
What is this, 2013? I ain't spending $50.
I feel like I remember this conversation between you, myself, at this person's house. Where we were talking about it, where it went to Prime, and we thought, oh, okay, we'll just watch it on Prime. Shit, whatever.
We have to pay for it on Prime.
We still have to pay for it, exactly.
It's like
I'm going to pay the $13 or whatever the hell it is for Prime, and then pay another $50 or $45 or whatever for pay-per-view? Fuck out of here.
When UFC is thinking about ditching that model, maybe it's time to maybe go with a different model. And I understand it's consistent. You do your 125,000 every month. Great. But as we have realized,
The thing is, so hold on, just real quick, right? I want to make this comparison before I forget it, because I 100% will. When they had a Netflix bout between Tyson and Paul, it crashed the server.
yep.
Like, that's a big fucking matchup for a variety of reasons. How many times are you going to get that at UFC for a monthly pay-per-view? That's the problem. You're not going to get that all the time. So if you're not going to get that and your baseline is not increasing at all, why not just change it up to a different model?
I mean, the fact that UFC is abandoning the model, WWE abandoned that model a long time ago, because they realize that the economics of it is just like, you have somebody. Did they get an increase in their media rights deal? Of course they did. I don't think they got the deal that they wanted, because Tony thought he was going to get like a 5-year, $100 billion, $1 billion deal. And he got half that for 3.
So Tony's also an idiot.
Well,
Oh, what? What? Who said that?
I mean, they did trade up in the draft last night, which was kind of surprising.
I mean, they suck, so.
Are we talking about the Jaguars or AEW?
I mean, I meant the Jaguars specifically, but I mean, both, obviously.
But both. I meant both. Like, both? Yeah, both.
Both.
And it's it's hard though to kind of because we would preview their pay-per-views and review their stuff if they weren't charging $50 a month. Because let's face it, folks, in this economy, I could watch a WWE pay-per-view every month, and it's included with my Peacock subscription. So there's other things on Peacock that's going to entertain me. Where with AEW, if they're on Max and they get the pay-per-views on Max, I don't want to pay for the pay-per-views on top of the Max subscription. That's pointless to me.
It's listen. I would not. Maybe I'm cheap in this way. I don't know. Call it whatever you want, but like, this is why I was always more of a casual wrestling fan. After my father got rid of that certain box that we like to talk about sometimes.
Come on, statute of limitations, my friend. It's been way too long.
Whatever. It's still a box either way. I couldn't justify it all the time after that. So I was way more casual. And then the network came and I was just like, eh. And it, honestly, Cena drove me away anyways. So of course I wasn't going to pay for that either. And then, you know, as the Bloodline storyline picked up, I caught my interest back, obviously, and, you know, was able to maintain it. But right now, I hate John Cena so much. I don't want to keep doing this anymore.
I know. It's like, oh God, I have to talk about him now, and it's like, oh crap, I'm on a podcast,
Yep.
and they're paying, and I'm monetized. Shit, like, I gotta talk about this asshole. Yep. Like, oh no.
Dude drove me away again.
It's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard because it's like I want to be able to be positive and think about this in a way of just like, oh, you know, it's a good story, and I understand. Oh, you know, he's ruining wrestling for everybody. It's like that shouldn't be a storyline. He's trying to ruin things creatively for people not to watch. Really? Can you just say that about your booking in like 2019? That was you trying to ruin wrestling? Like,
I just, even if you take that out of the equation, I mean, this just, you know, it was a bad pay-per-view.
It was so bad.
I'll say it out loud. Like, I know sometimes people listen to the show and they're like, oh, you guys are so pro WWE, but this was a bad show, guys.
We are. And we've been negative about WWE lately, too. Like, we came into the show very negative and very kind of, you know, I don't like the way this is going.
We came in hopeful, though.
Yes, we came in hopeful. But at the same time, we came in hopeful, kind of knowing where the direction they were going.
Right.
And it wasn't going to be good. And that's how it ended. And I feel like that we have used every adjective to kind of discuss how putrid this show. There's another one. How awful this show was to kind of, and it just was so bad, folks. And I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, oh, it's good, yeah, it's great. It's like, you're in the minority. Everybody down.
I would say that after night one.
Yes.
Because of the main event, because Tiffany and Charlotte, for what it was worth, was good. Jacob to LA Knight was good. Jade and Naomi was good. It's just the other ones I didn't mention, not so much. And that kind of brought the show down. But I would have said, okay, let's see how night two is. And that is what I said to myself as I drove home from that person's house.
Who ran?
But I literally got to night two and I'm watching and I'm like, okay, triple threat's great. Damian Priest, Drew, okay. Dom, okay, you deserve it. Brandy Joe, And then everything else, it's like that. Those charts you see, where all the lines are going up and down and down and up and down, and then just plummets after Randy and Joe Hendry. And it just absolutely craters.
It's like when Lehman Brothers went out of business.
I was thinking Enron, but yeah, sure.
Enron too, but Lehman Brothers is right up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this was, yeah, we could keep going on and on about how bad this was, but it's
it was.
I'd rather just get to a point of wrap it up and forget this even happened. So thank
I'd
you
love
for
to.
everybody. Thank you for everybody who is now watching and listening to us on Facebook, on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page. Thank you for the people that are listening to us or watching us on our YouTube page under Diamond Podcasting Productions. And then, of course, we have us on Spotify under PWW Talks, also on Apple under PWW Talks, Audacity, wherever you get your podcasts, we're on it. And now we're on Facebook to do previews and reviews on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page. So we're just growing. We are just growing and slowly taking over professional wrestling as far as the media is concerned. So now with more of a Facebook audience, I fully expect I'm going to get swatted within the next 2 years. So
That's fair.
someone's going to get mad. Someone is going to get mad at something I say. And it's just like, meh. Sorry. But beyond that, if you like WrestleMania, good for you. We hated it. And so did Jimmy, I'm sure. I'm wearing Cornette tonight because it's the only. This is my face.
I haven't
actually,
even listened
last
to him
week.
this week at all. It's been actually a few weeks, but I haven't listened to him at all, and I'm kind of curious what his thoughts about WrestleMania
This
are.
was my actual face after last weekend. Just like after Sunday night, this was my face. I'm just like, what? And this face, I felt like, because I actually had to think about what shirt I was wearing tonight, because it's just, I needed to think about it, and then I found Cornette, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of sums up everything that has gone on this weekend, for this past weekend. And on that note, I bid you adieu. Mac, do you have anything to close us out?
Nope.
All right.
Bad show, but hopefully they make up for it.
High hopes. That's what I say, folks.
Hopes.
We can only go up from here. That's the way we have to look at it. And on behalf of me, myself, Mac, thank you for listening to PWW Talks, and we will see you all real soon. Good night, everybody.